We are. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the VR Link. Look who we've got. We have got new special guests with us this week. How is everyone? Thank you, everyone for joining us. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 14 of the VR Link, your weekly podcast where you can find us live every Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter at 7 p.m. BST, 2 p.m. EST, and 11 a.m. PT. On this show, we discuss the latest news, games, and goings on in virtual reality. My name's GT from Gamertag VR, and not alongside me this week is Matt from BMF because it's his birthday. So he will be, I think he's going to be in the show later on. He's going to watch it back. So if you could leave him a happy birthday message in the chat, that'd be awesome. Instead, I've been kindly joined by two of the community's very important members. They do their own show called Virtual Strangers, and I'm a big fan. I'm always in there. It's a really comfy podcast. It's hard to describe. I do suggest you go and check it out. Welcome, Roots and Wes. How you doing, guys? You all good?
Yeah, man. And thanks for having us on, by the way. We really appreciate all the support you've given us over the span of the life of our channel.
No worries. How you doing, Roots? I want everyone to hear your voice.
My glorious voice. I'm doing good, actually. I took the day off today so that I could do the podcast, and it benefits me because I get an extra day of VR. I'm going to do some VR after this, and who doesn't love VR with the community, right?
Nice. What are you going to be playing?
Population 1 for one. Tiffany from Gamer Chick 13. She's going to join me and hopefully Wes. I know there's a couple. Derail. I promised Derail I was going to get in with him, and I feel like I'm failing. I'm not getting in enough with different people. People keep sending me invites, and I'm already got a crew. There's only 3 people, and that's the problem with the game, I think.
Do you know what I'd love in that game? I was going to bring up Population 1 a bit later on. I'd love to be able to host a whole private lobby because, like Ret Royale, when it comes to Quest 2, people are going to love it, I think. You can have like 18 players, all private, all friends. And, I'd love to be able to do that at Pop 1. That'd be so cool.
And
you got to think that that stuff like that has to be coming, right? Because, I mean, it's not the most premium priced game in the world, but it is a $30 game with one map and one game mode. So I got to imagine that updates are coming.
Yeah, I reckon so. Virtual Strangers podcast, please subscribe to them. I'm not sure if I put the link in the description, but I will do. But yeah, if you just type in Virtual Strangers, you'll find these guys. So let me just finish my pitch on this. So for the audiophiles amongst you, you can follow the show and listen again on Spotify, Apple, and Anchor. Just search the VR Link. We are now over 200 listeners on every show, so thank you ever so much for that. Thank you ever so much to the legendary patrons and channel members whose names are listed below each and every episode. And if you enjoy the show and what you're seeing on the channel, please consider joining them and supporting what we are doing here. We also have our ever-growing VR Discord. It is now over 1,000 members, which is absolutely insane. I couldn't believe that the other day. Pressing that at everyone button is so like, dude, that says over 1,000. You're like, they're probably all blocking it. They're like, no, I don't want to listen to all that stuff. So yeah, let's how is everyone in the chat? What have you been playing? And while you guys are letting me know what we've been playing, I want to speak to you two about how did you both meet? Which is quite important to myself, obviously, because I'm always on the other side of the screen writing comments. So how did you both meet? How did you get together?
That was through VR 365, right?
Right. Yeah, we were both members of the VR 365 community before it was VR 365. Back when it was VR Game Rankings, we all just kind of, Roots, myself, and our previous 2 co-hosts that were on the show with us at the onset. We all met up in the message boards and comments section of Anthony's channel.
Oh, nice. So what made you want to do this, like a podcast? Because you do a Sunday show, I think, a Monday show, a Wednesday show, and you do like a lot of shows.
Well, we do the Sunday show and the Monday show, but sometimes the Monday show becomes the Tuesday show. Sometimes it's the Wednesday show. It just depends on what we've got going on.
You got to keep the viewers on their toes, man. they got to keep that. They got to keep the bell rung to stay up to date.
You know what's weird is like every time, for whatever reason, something will get pushed back. We'll go, okay, we usually do it on Monday show. We're going to do it on Wednesday. For whatever reason, something will happen. Something in the news or something and it's like, or something will fall out, a sale, or I kid you not. It's like, oh my God, like it seems like God is on our side. I just everything falls into place, and then all of a sudden we're talking about something very pertinent, right? So
Yeah, I mean the VR
Yeah.
news doesn't stop. So to do that many shows, I think the only show I can't watch, or I do when I'm on nights, is the Monday one because you do that quite late your time, don't you? That one, I
you've
think.
been there a
Yeah,
couple times and surprised the hell out of me. It's like 5 a.m. for you or something, right?
It doesn't. My wife, it surprises her. She's like, "Turn it down, shut up," and I'm like, "Do you know what I mean?" But yeah. At the end of the day, I would support anyone who wants to follow through with their passion and their support for virtual reality. You know, doing things like that makes a big difference. You've got like 800 or so subscribers on your channel. I really hope you get to 1,000 as soon as possible. And if anyone in the chat wants to help them out, that'd be great. I'd really appreciate that because you'll see me in the chat as well. We can hang out there. You also do gameplay videos as well, don't you, on your channel?
yeah, occasionally. You know, Roots and I both have our own personal channels that are more gameplay focused, but sometimes when there's a big release or maybe we get an early copy of a game that people are interested in, we will do gameplays on our main channel as well.
Nice. Roots, what mic have you got? Because I was chatting to someone the other day and I can't remember what it was, but they were like, Roots' mic is amazing because your voice is, you've got quite an unforgettable voice, I think, in the VR community.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. And I give my son credit for that. He's 22. He's very into music and audio, and he came in and helped me fine tune everything.
Yeah.
But I'm using a Blue Ember condenser mic, and it's through the Go XLR. And so the Go XLR is the main beef of it. It's like $450 or $400 or whatever, but it really helps get all those things perfect. And like I said, just getting it. So I've had a couple moments where things have gone weird, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to find the save file because I don't even know how to get at that point. And that was my son. I got to get him back over here to fix it. So.
Oh, nice. So Wes, also before we went live, I noticed Wes has got the Nvidia broadcast thing going on, and I think there's a couple of options there. A couple of options you can basically get rid of your background, so you don't need a green screen, or you can phase it out a little bit like you've got there. So that means you've got a new graphics card. What have you got?
Yeah, I've got the Zotac Trinity RTX 3080, and I had remembered that you had suggested NVIDIA broadcast to me a few weeks ago, but I didn't have an RTX card at the time. So yeah, it crossed my mind as I was setting up for the show today, and I literally just installed the broadcast, set up the settings, and then we went on air.
It is that simple, isn't it? It's just like having, I think Nvidia broadcast acts like another camera. And that's it. You just choose that as your option, and you're good to go. But it's a fantastic bit of software. I've used it a couple of times instead of having a green screen. It's not perfect, but damn, it's free and it's ease of use. You know. So yeah, man.
And I'm sorry, I've actually tried to use a green screen before. I've got one set up right over there, and I always had so much trouble getting the lighting just right on it. It seems like there's always some color bleeding through. So the NVIDIA broadcast doesn't have to be perfect. If it's close to perfect,
Yeah.
I'm going to be in heaven.
It's really good, actually. I noticed when I tried it, my biggest thing was I want to move around. I move around too much, or I get up and do stuff or whatever. That's where at least for taking your background out, I couldn't believe how good it took my background out. It was like the best green screen I've ever had.
Wow.
So I would say that, yeah, absolutely. And when you check that, the next you mess with it, Wes, it's just going to be awesome for you. No green screen needed. So.
I've seen people do live mixed reality streams with it as well.
Oh, wow. Well, so I guess if they're moving around, then they must have a different setting that I don't know about. But I know what Wes said is very true. Trying to get the lighting perfect is a pain in the ass with a green screen for sure.
Yeah, so one of the things I found out when messing around with a green screen and the lighting is actually them, instead of just messing around with the lighting, is messing around with your camera input as well. So brightness, you know what I mean? Like to make that green more greener, just improve colours, and you can mess around with it, that side of things. So every time I go live, I have to basically change 8 settings in my camera to get that green screen to actually work properly. Otherwise, if I go in there as it is, yeah, you get like, I don't know, sometimes you get like a green outline and all sorts of things. So
that's why your content's so good, though. It's because you're a
stop.
perfectionist.
Stop.
Well, That's why. That's how exactly. I'll sit here and for an hour, like obsessing about something, and it's stupid, but it's like, I mean, the production value I can tell on your show for sure.
Oh, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
and by the way, congratulations again on the milestone on the 20K, man. That's an impressive accomplishment, and I got to imagine with your dedication level that you're only going to continue to grow from here.
Thank you, man. Yeah, thank you very much. It was quite unbelievable, to be honest with you. The actual biggest milestone for me, the 20K is brilliant subscribers. One thing I've always been worried about is having a channel with loads of subscribers and not many views. I've always hated the idea of that. I'd rather have people subscribing because they want to see the content. And when we done Population 1, we had 506 live viewers. Like, that was the peak.
That's crazy.
That is the best thing that's ever happened to me on my channel. To have
that's
that,
awesome.
Yeah, that for me, that's it. That, like, when it finished, my wife was here, and I was like, I nearly welled up a bit. I was like, wow, I can't believe it. Like, that many people watching is unbelievable.
It's all about the content, like you said. People can have a million subscribers, but if nobody, and it's weird when you see a high level channel with thousands of subscribers and they only get 50 people viewing or something, something's off. And I would submit, especially for what we do, what you do, the community is number one. Like, without them, we're not here. So yeah, absolutely. I don't. My biggest thing is, though, there's a lot of people that stress about the numbers, and I try to tell them, focus on the people you already have. There's 800 people already for us, already there. Let's do the show for them, and then the rest will come. People they want 20,000 people. You put a shitload of work in to get to that 20,000.
Yeah.
And so that's what it takes. It takes work, and it takes the community, I think. So
Yeah. We're all part of the same community at the end of the day, and we're all expressing our interests in it as hobbyists. That's what I feel all it is, really. That's all it starts out as, is you just see something really cool, and it's like showing a picture or a meme to someone. You're like, oh, I want to share this, I want to show it to someone. And that's how it starts out. And like you guys are doing really well. And yeah, so thank you, man. Thank you very much for that. That was cheers, guys. Thank you, everyone in the chat. How you all doing? Thank you for joining us today. So let's roll my little VR news clip. Hold on one second. That is all done. It nearly went really well, apart from Roots' name was played through the whole thing, so I got it in the wrong place. God damn it. It's been going really well for the last few weeks. So for anyone who owns a oh, guys, are you getting PS5s? Have you pre-ordered PS5?
I am not.
Yeah, I've got one pre-ordered.
Nice. Are you going digital or physical?
Physical. Not that I had a choice. It was the only one that was available for the 3 minutes that it was available, but it was the one that I wanted anyway. So
yeah, it was a weird one for me. Funny enough, I didn't question it at the time. I was like, yeah, I'll just get digital. But every time I talk to someone about it, they're like, why didn't you go physical? And the more I think about it, the more I think, have I made a mistake? I don't know. Because a couple of reasons I went digital was because I didn't know for a good 6 to 8 months that my PC didn't have a disk drive. I didn't know. I was like sent a mic or something, and I had the little like DVD-ROM, and I was like, oh my god, I haven't got anywhere to put it. I didn't figure, and I thought, that's saying something, man. Like, I must use online stores all the time, and with my PlayStation, the same physical games are probably over a year old at least. Everything else has been digital since, and yeah, that was the reason. That was the reason I went digital at the time. But as I said, the more people I speak to, the more they're like, no, I'm getting physical. So I'm interested to know if anyone in the chat what they're getting, if they're getting physical or you're getting digital. I've got digital pre-ordered, which I think comes. I don't think you got any choice on the 800 gig hard drive. I found that very surprising. That I don't think that's a lot.
No, it really isn't. Especially if you're doing an all digital version. I really would have expected a more premium version, and we may still get that. But with me going with the physical, I'm like you. I haven't really bought physical games for a long time, but I do have a stack of must-own PSVR games that are physical. My Astrobot's physical. I've got Resident Evil, Firewall, No Man's Sky. All of these are physical copies. So had I gone digital, sure, I would have saved $100 off of the cost of the physical edition. But then I have to go and I have to rebuy all of these games, and I end up spending the money anyway.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. And yeah, so before I get too far ahead of myself, there is a link in the video description for those who need the camera adapter from PS4 to PS5. I think that went live today. So yeah, I tried to fill out the form. It crashed so many times. It was asking me to do the capture security thing, asking me to tag a bike, but there was buses everywhere, and it was just like, oh man, this is not working out at all. So yeah, even though I've tried for an hour, I still couldn't get through. But the link is there, and I'm sure it'll get that must be a good sign. Like PlayStation must be like, we didn't know that many people would be bothered. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I'll definitely need one of them. Because I'm hoping the PlayStation 5 brings some sort of extra features, you know, to PSVR games, whether it be an increase in graphics or something. Because at the end of the day, there's some fantastic games out there that needs to happen. You know, that needs to happen. It needs to get rid of that softness.
Yeah, well, I got to think there's going to be two tiers, right? First of all, and I think this is going to be the case for most of the good titles on PSVR. Most VR titles have some sort of scaling performance built into it.
Yeah.
So you'll see the foveated rendering and the anti-aliasing adjust with the CPU overhead. I think that those titles you're going to see an immediate benefit with. All of a sudden, you're going to have a lot more clarity inside the headset. And then beyond that, I think that we're going to see something similar than to what we saw with PlayStation 4 Pro when developers began patching the games to take advantage of the extra horsepower.
Yeah.
So I think we will see some benefit to it. You know, and of course, there's always PSVR 2 later down the line that I think most of us are expecting to be released within the next.
Dude, that could be... What the hell? Right, before I go into that, Alakazam, thank you ever so much for the $5 donation. He's put, I have not owned a console in 13 years. I'm a PCVR gamer. But I play VR 99% of the time. Plus now everything is going cloud. I can play AAA games on the tab. So yeah, or on the fly. That's right, Alakazam, yeah. Virtual desktop with Oculus Quest 2. That's a phenomenal experience, dude. Absolutely phenomenal. And BMF on his birthday has just dropped $50 in the chat. Great show already. Got a head out. Cheers, man. Have a wonderful birthday. Thank you ever so much. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. What's he doing that for? Nutter. Yeah, so I take it. Brutes, you got PSVR? PlayStation VR?
I did actually. I owned it for a while, and then I sold it to well, he's my roommate now, and I'm waiting for the PS5 to come out. So it'll be a while before I get it again. But I'm more into PC, and then the Quest 2, like you said, the wireless is blowing me away.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we're going to talk about the Deca Gear, which is going to be a PCVR headset. There's also like a rumor of a wireless adapter, or the guys hinting at it. But still, apart from the Facebook login, if you can push that aside, the Oculus Quest 2 is such an amazing headset. Like, it is an absolutely incredible headset. For that price, to play PCVR wireless at that quality is just unreal. And I always swore by the Rift S for PCVR. I preferred that over using my original Quest for Link. But the other day I was live streaming using my Quest 2, and the battery was low before I started. So when you use Link with Quest 2, it like trickle charges, but it's always in the negative. It's not in the positive. And yeah, basically the battery died within like 45 minutes. So I swapped to the Rift S, and dude, there was screen door. Like suddenly I was like, oh man, I can see that screen door. It's crazy. Wes, you look like you're going to say, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how you kind of get used to things and don't see them, and then when you take a break from them after a while and come back, it sticks out like a sore thumb. Like I recently went through a month here where I had no standalone VR anymore because I sold my Quest. I had no PC VR anymore because I sold my Rift S and my 1080 Ti. All I
Whoa.
was gaming on was PlayStation VR. And when I first went back to it, man, it was jarring.
Yeah.
But after a week or two, I mean, things seem to improve almost to the point where I'm questioning, is my Pro actually running better now than it was before? Because this actually looks pretty good. But then Quest 2 releases, and then I remember, oh yeah, this is what top-notch VR is supposed to look like.
I mean, the one thing about PSVR for me was always the biggest negative is not the headset, it's the move controllers.
Mm, yeah.
That I don't think you can get away from that. There's no real excuse for us to still have them.
Let me ask you this. Did you start on the PlayStation VR or did you start PC? Because I know Wes started on PlayStation VR, and I think that's the difference is like the people that's all you had, the move controllers don't seem to bother them very much anymore or as much. But like I started on CV1, and then when I got my PlayStation VR, I tolerated the move controllers because I had to, but I'm like you. I'm like, why the hell? That's the one thing that and the tracking, those two get fixed with this PlayStation 5 release. Even if they just release that package, it becomes almost better than most PC headsets because like Wes said, that we don't know how much the headset's being held back by the hardware of the PS or PlayStation 4. So maybe the PlayStation 5 just unlocks tremendous clarity and in that same headset, and they don't even need to release a second one. They just need to release an upgraded hand presence, kind of like those, I guess, those schematics that came out right for the index ones.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the. Sorry, my camera's doing like some weird white balancing thing. I keep noticing. I can't remember the specs of the PSVR headset, but I know it does 120 hertz. And I've seen, as I said before, if you've been on, if you've watched the podcast before, I think it's Windlands is the game that does is the only game, or one of the only games, that does the actual 1-to-1 refresh rate and resolution on PSVR. So if you want to see exactly what the headset's capable of, check out Windlands. And when you do, you'll be like, yeah, man, like that is lovely and sharp. It's fast, like the refresh rate is fast. It's comfortable. I genuinely believed that the move controllers were going to get updated for a long time. I really did. I thought they got to be like these are a less of a risk. That's what they've done. So they've done a risk of going VR, and then they've gone, look, if we go controllers as well, it's more expense on everyone. So we'll see how it goes. It flew. They were bringing out their own games, fantastic games, and then we're still stuck with the move controllers 11, 12 years later. It's like, what happened? I never understood that. But yeah, PSVR was my first experience. Absolutely amazing. Blew me away. I then knew just by doing that, the virtuality was the evolution of gaming that I've been waiting for. Because I love video games, great escapism. Just, you know, and virtuality in no other way, virtuality just takes you somewhere else. And it has to be experienced to understand it, but it is phenomenal, as you guys know, obviously. And that's what I mean. There's a reason that guys like yourself go, we're going to make it a community, we're going to make a podcast. It's obvious that it's impacted your life. Do you know what I mean? It changes your life. It's changed your life.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rich.
No, go ahead. No, you go first.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, it absolutely has completely changed my life. I mean, before PlayStation VR, I mean, I didn't really have many hobbies. I really wasn't even gaming all that much. You know, I gamed, you know, my whole life as a child and through my teens and early 20s. I was always a big gamer, but I had fallen away from it. And it was PlayStation VR that brought me back in and inspired me to the point, like you said, of becoming a content creator. You know, I'm not naturally a very outgoing person. I'm generally pretty secluded and not very talkative, but all of that changed because I want to tell the world about VR and about how awesome it is. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. To say it has changed my life is an understatement.
Yeah. What about you, Rich? You feel the same?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I built my computer for to do 4K gaming, and then I wasn't that impressed with it because I have continued gaming. I did WoW, I did all sorts of games throughout my years, but then all of a sudden I just got I saw somebody's video. It might have been Nathy's or something. And I just got sucked into wanting to watch these videos for like a week. And within that next week, I had my CV1 and I was already ready to go. And it blew me away so much that I started trying to show family members, friends. And
that's how it starts. That's how it starts. Yeah.
Well, and we all know that not every family member or friend is receptive. Like a lot of people are weird about it. And so you get to a point where you go to try to tell them and they're not really wanting to hear it anymore. And then you have no avenue to talk about it to many people. And then I got approached by, I don't even know who approached me first, whether it was Wes, Main Fan, or Alex, but somebody said, hey, we were thinking about doing a podcast, you know, and you're so vocal about it. Would you be interested in doing it? Little did I know that Wes and I would pyramid ourselves to the top of the place. And it really should have been a 2-man podcast over the 4. I just think sometimes that's the way it ends up being, and ends up being way better than it ever was the first time, at least in my opinion. But and so our goal is to let people know, not only let the viewers know, new people coming in, what's out there. These are the games you should check out. This is worth checking out. The enthusiasts, you know, all the new stuff coming out that we're all excited. And then also the developers, you know, these so many good developers like Gamertag 13, you know, for Skydance, you know, you want to champion the good developers. You want to say, hey man, this company, we want to help them do more games, right? Like if we can get the community to see that these games are worth playing, it benefits us all. And so that's our goal, I think, for the podcast. Anyway, I would assume you believe it as well, Wes. But we just want everybody to know how good it is.
Absolutely. I think you got the tech channels are where you go for looking for what to experience. You know, the next game on. But then you got the gaming channels are the ones that keep the life going. They're the life expectancy. You know, they're the blood flow of whatever you've bought. And that's really interesting that. Yeah, so I was PlayStation, Wes was PlayStation, and I literally feel exactly the same as you, Wes. That's exactly what happened to me. I used to love games all from my childhood, and then I don't know, I wanted to be excited about certain games, and I was, but not deep down. I was like, I'm playing this because I feel like I should be, you know, there was not that buzz, that like natural excitement, and yeah, like literally, I experienced PSVR and I was like, boom, there it goes. I'm completely hooked and I'm amazed. And yeah, I'll never forget that, dude. I'll never forget that. So yeah, anyway, sorry. Back onto the news quickly. Yeah, so if you need an adapter for your PSVR for your forwards compatibility from PSVR and PS4 to PS5, there's a camera adapter, which I believe is free. I'm pretty sure it's free. You just got to apply for it. On to the next bit of news, which is about the Oculus Quest 2 has likely been jailbroken. It pretty much is sort of confirmed, but yeah, commonly referred to as jailbreaking, the process of gaining root access means navigating around certain user permissions and agreements that a device's manufacturer might otherwise enforce. In the case of the Oculus Quest 2, for example, Facebook requires users to have a Facebook account to even access the headset's core features. That is correct. When you first start up your Oculus Quest 2, you are literally met with log in with your Facebook account or you're not going to go any further. You can sideload content onto the device by access developer mode, but not until you've linked up that account and agreed to the terms of service. Gaining root access to the Quest 2 then could let users access the standalone headset without a Facebook account, though they wouldn't have access to the Oculus Store and other features. It's especially interesting in case of Oculus Quest 2, as users with banned Facebook accounts aren't able to access the device at all. Though Facebook is working with customers on an individual basis to solve these issues. So there was another bit of news, wasn't there, about if you had the same Facebook account to your Oculus Quests, your Oculus Quest 1, Oculus Quest 2, and you use both at the same time, you potentially could be banned. But that's now been lifted as well. They've sort of come out and basically sorted that out. So jailbreaking, dude. I mean, you go into this kind of thing. Obviously, if it does happen, they're going to probably try and fight it with updates, I imagine. Well, you could probably put some money on that and say they will. You know, they're going to jailbreak versions, which means your headset's going to be on version, I don't know, 24. And the jailbreak will be for version 24. They'll release version 25, and then you've got to wait for jailbreak 25. And You know, would you guys ever consider, like, let's go back into this. How do you feel about the Facebook thing? You know, how do you feel about all that?
I think it's
Well,
crap. I mean, it sucks. It sucks because it is affecting some sales. I do a poll every time I go into Population One lately, where I'll ask them what headset they're on, and you know, whether they like the game. And a lot of people, or most people, are saying Quest 2, but I'm also running into a lot of people that are saying F Oculus. I'll never get an Oculus headset. I've ran into that in real life. One guy, a streamer on Twitch, was saying that, you know, I really want to get into VR, but I can't afford it. And I was literally typing Quest 2, and he said, but I will not go Facebook. So I don't like it from that respect. I would never jailbreak my thing because I have too many games already, and I don't like the idea of being boxed out of my games. But if it'll be nice to know that if for whatever reason Facebook just banned my account, now I'm not looking at a bricked headset. I could still use it. You're just losing everything that Oculus, all your account, all your games, right? You could still use it for everything else. I just think it sucks, and hopefully a lot of people think there's going to be backlash. They're going to have to there's going to be lawsuits. They can't do this, you know what I mean? Like, everything they're doing is completely illegal. But you know, we're also living in such a weird world where the things that I used to think would never fly are just going everywhere. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, are you referring to the jailbreaking being illegal? Or are you referring to the Facebook login thing being like a bit?
Just, yeah, the Facebook login thing, requiring somebody to have a service to use a product. Or, I don't know, at least from what I've read, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm not a lawyer, but a lot of people believe there's lawsuits out there for the way they're doing it, because they're cutting you off, and they're not only preventing you from using that headset, but if you've invested X amount of dollars in all those games, they're going away. And they're, you know, I guess as long as it's along terms of service, they could try to go that route. But a lot of times it's not even with terms of service. Facebook's so selective on their bans. Certain people get banned for the same thing that others don't. It's very weird. So,
yeah. What about you, Wes? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, you know, I kind of look at it from both sides. Obviously, I don't like any kind of you know, strong arm corporate tactics, or any kind of loss of privacy. You know, it sucks, not only, you know, with regards to Facebook now, but with regards to the world in general. We all live our lives online now, and if Facebook isn't taking our data, Google is, or Amazon, or some other you know, mega corporation. They're all watching us, and they were already watching us before this. So yeah, it really sucks, and especially in today's climate, when you see so many people being banned and losing their accounts over speech, which is supposed to be protected in our country, but for some reason, online speech doesn't. You know, our laws and protections, at least right now, don't apply to that. But at the same time that I, you know, I kind of loathe the idea of them doing something like this, I also have come to terms with it long ago, as this is the new normal. This is the way things are. This is the way things have been for some time. So I'm not getting all bent out of shape. I'm not losing any sleep over it. And my general attitude toward Facebook uh, is generally an attitude of gratitude, because if it weren't for the uh, at this point billions of dollars that they've invested in the technology that I love so much, VR as a platform would likely not even exist, especially, you know, PCVR, which is still, you know, still trucking right along despite losing its stature among the other platforms. But my general attitude toward Facebook is an undying gratitude for basically making VR too big to fail at this point.
It is, yeah. That's the problem with it. I couldn't believe how good the Quest 2 was, and then when they done this, I was like, why? Why did you do that? Why did you bother? You know, we didn't need that now. Now is not the time for that. You should have been left alone.
Yeah, wait 5 years and then slip it in, and then all of us are in and invested.
All of us. Well, by then, hopefully, there's another standalone headset. We can go. Well, that doesn't matter. We're off anyway. You know, there's so many of us involved. There's two things I've noticed. Well, there's a number of things I've noticed. The reaction normally is, why would I want to put my personal Facebook account onto a Quest? Then you got the people who have got. So they're the people who've already got Facebook, but they just don't want to put it on a Quest. Which I'm like, I don't know. I find that quite strange, because then why would you have an issue with it? Because you're already in there. You're already invested in the thing. You've got a Facebook account. Personally, I had a Facebook account anyway. But the whole thing, I'll be honest, really upset me when it happened, because I didn't want the two worlds to merge like that. Not so severely, you know. I mean, I wanted it to be optional. I wanted it to be maybe tied with Facebook Horizon or something. You know, if you want to use Facebook Horizon, then log in. But if you don't want Facebook Horizon, we're cool. But yeah, so I'm noticing the chat's picked up a little bit more when we've come into this. So let's have a look at some comments, guys. If you've seen any comments you want to read out, let me know. It's a really good time to get in to see what the chat's doing, because, to be fair, they say some of the best stuff anyway.
Well, let me ask you this with regards to the Oculus Quest. You know, we're all blown away by it, and you know, it is quite an amazing feature set. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of our amazement with it is the price to performance equation. The fact that you can get such a capable device for such a small amount of money, it's mind blowing. It still blows my mind every time I think about it. Do you guys think that the reason? I mean, obviously, Facebook wants to build VR so that everyone can join their social network and they can get all the data. Obviously, that's their end goal, and we've known that since day one. But do you think the reason why the Quest 2 is such a good value is at least partially to placate people, because they knew people were going to flip their top when they merged with the Facebook platform?
Roots, have you got an answer at the moment?
I don't know. I don't know if that. I mean, it could. I guess that is a good point. I mean, it's such a good headset, and it's playstated me. I mean, you know, my thing is I like you. I was already invested in it. I was even invested even further. I would say anybody that's got an Oculus account, and I had already tied, because when it said you could do it, I just did it. You know, because you can't go in groups, you can't do other shit. So I already did it. So once I signed up, for one, it was like, well, I'm already in this. I have no choice. I mean, if I cancel my Facebook, I lose my account, which is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard of. But I don't like that either. But I don't know. It's one of those things that I guess time will tell, right, on how it's going to affect everything. But
it's a real problem if you're that passionate about virtuality, because it is as simple as putting a hat on. That is what using a Quest is like. It's putting a hat on. Especially the new one, it's lighter. You've got no sensors to put in any walls. You've got nothing to worry about. I know people who are interested in audio want over-the-ear headphones, but for ease of use and sharing, it's already got them built into the speakers. It's $300. It starts up in under 15 seconds. And then it then combines to be a PCVR headset. Like, there's not many boxes the thing doesn't tick. And then they come along with the Facebook thing, and I was like, oh no, what have you done? Like, it really got me down. And a number of people I know went a bit quiet on social, because you're conflicted. You know, you've put yourself in a position, not to say we're like, you know, statues in the community or anything like that, but you've put yourself out there with your time and your passion to share VR. And normally you're so busy trying to, because you've got the people making the videos saying VR's dead, VR's dying. You've got to combat some of that. And it's, you know, so, and then obviously if you're a positive person, people like that or they don't like it. And then when this happens, you're like, why are you trying to undo all this good work by doing this? But yeah, I was like, I was already invested. I was already in there. As soon as Facebook Horizons happened, the very inkling of it, I knew this was going to happen. It just seemed obvious to me, and it is a shame. It's such a shame. It's such a shame.
Well, we've known pretty much since the time that they shelled out $2 billion for Oculus that this is their end goal. I mean, nobody. I mean, I never thought that Facebook was in this so that they could be the largest video game company in the world. They want to build a social uh, and professional platform so that they can collect data, and data is more valuable than money right now, especially with the all the research and development going into machine learning and artificial intelligence. All of that stuff thrives on the amount of data that you can put into it. So you know, Facebook, they want everybody. They want everybody playing games in VR. They want everybody socializing in VR. They want everybody working in VR. We knew this was coming at some point. I kind of would have liked for them to, you know, maybe been a little bit more gradual with it rather than ripping the Band-Aid all off at once the way
Oh,
they
I couldn't
did.
believe that. I couldn't believe that. Yeah.
But yeah, I know, right? But again, I think that it's very likely that the timing of the Quest 2 and the awesome cost to performance, you know, ratio that they're giving us with this, I think at least in part that it's meant to placate people. It's meant to soften the blow, if you will, of them ripping the Band-Aid off.
Yeah,
I think part of it is also the like you said, I feel like I got a muzzle put on me is how I feel. I didn't use Facebook. I haven't used it forever, but if I decided to go and say I want to post something or talk about something, I've now got lists of things I can't talk about, you know, just for fear of, even if I'm there's examples of people that are actually talking on the side that Facebook believes in, and just the fact that they're talking about it, they get banned. And so I don't, I just decided, you know, I'm just not going to talk about anything controversial. So at a point, do you think maybe Facebook, and this might sound paranoid, but maybe they're slowly controlling their platform, you know, and making it, because they seem to be wanting controlling with censorship on what they allow on and what they don't. They're curating. So maybe this is just one more form of doing that. They're getting me, at least in my personal opinion, or from my personal case, to censor myself for whatever I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I use my Facebook for just stupid shit. Like, literally, it's just random memes, or I don't use it for anything that matters for about 2-3 years. It's never been anything to me other than there's maybe a picture for my mum to see or something. I haven't got your sound effect. My mum. I haven't got that. I was going to add it today. My mum. There it is. I was going to add it today, but I didn't have time. So yeah, let's have a look. Hussein, Tim says yes. FB's got the angry face going on. Sarzi Wilk says he has a black line on the screen of his Quest 2 on the right lens. Hello, Matty. How you doing? Well, hopefully you've contacted Oculus and you're going to get that sorted out. Hussein, same here, didn't want to use Facebook, nor is jailbreak an option due to the Oculus Store games. Yeah, so a part of this jailbreaking thing was a cash prize, which was 5,000 by someone, I can't remember who it is, but as far as I know, Palmer Lucky then doubled on it as well. He said, if you do it, I'll match it. So maybe they're just doing it for that, for proof. I personally don't see it as a long-term solution. So if anyone, in my mind at least, if anyone's out there saying, this is how you get around it, yeah, you'll get round it, but then you probably won't be able to do anything with it. But do you know what the other option is, if you're really interested in trying to do it, is buy another Quest, which Facebook would love. And then, because back in the day, I had like 2 Xboxes. One was for Xbox Live, and one was for my jailbroken Xbox or whatever, you know, and played all my emulators on it and stuff. So that is personally what I'd do if I wanted to find out about that. And Alakazam, thank you ever so much. Well, who can challenge Facebook, Apple or Sony? Another thing someone brought up, Sony have messed up with people's data before in the past. I can't remember how many users it was years ago. It was massive. It was all in the news.
It was a lot.
It was millions of people's data got, it was obviously not protected well enough and went out there. So, yeah, there's so many sides to this argument, and these are all our own opinions. And I respect them all. I respect anyone who doesn't want to use an Oculus product. You know, because on PCVR you can still. On PCVR, do you need the Oculus Store to link to your Facebook as well?
I don't know, but Gamertag just had a really good point. You know, what if you get banned for somebody that's in your family or on your friends list? You know, I mean, I don't if they posted something stupid. I doubt that it would go to that point, but you know, like I said, in this year, everything that I would have said a few years ago is impossible. I just, at least I consider it. I might not say it's probable, but it's possible.
Yeah, as you said, it is almost like now you're a bit scared to
Yeah.
do things. You know, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they obviously do care about backlash a bit because they were very quick on Twitter to put out this. I'll see if I can find it. I put it. Funny enough, the image I made of their whole convo ended up on Reddit, and I knew it was mine because I made it. But yeah, you know, basically saying that you won't get blocked out, and if you use two Quest headsets at the same time, it's
it's interesting because, you know, I think that this again, their policy changes now, the ones that are actually consumer friendly. I think you're right. I think that they are in part meant to placate the end user, because I've been, you know, railing on for years now since I got into PCVR, because Oculus has never had any kind of device sharing platform. You could share your games in your headset on Steam. You could share it on PlayStation VR, but if you want to share your Oculus, you're just kind of screwed. And now, of all times, after all of this time, they're finally going to be implementing some sort of family and friends sharing program. And I got to think that, you know, the only reason that they're doing it now is just to once again placate people, due to all the negative press that they knew they were going to get when they did this.
oh, how many people on that side of Oculus went, oh my god, like when that memo went out, and it would have been a memo, it would have been a company wide, this is going to happen. I'd have been like, oh my god, my heart would have sunk, and it did when it happened. So yeah, crazy.
Do you think
stuff.
this is why a lot of the people bailed from Facebook? Like all the executives, the top ends, when they were leaving, weren't happy with how things were going. We always assumed it was because they weren't going the direction of the headset with the half dome and everything. Maybe it was this. They were like, you know, you're gonna do what? No, man, like I can't. I'm out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody left, right? Even Carmack is gone. So I mean, he's still as a consultant, but he's pretty much moved on to AI. So.
Yeah, so Alexander, Facebook is the lone one pushing for VR. I don't think that's necessarily true, but they are definitely out in the lead until Sony steps up again. Because in my mind, I think people forget, not everyone was like this. At the end of the day, I'm just going to go back to when I first experienced VR. The same day, I experienced PlayStation VR in April 2016 at London Tobacco Docks. At that venue, it was a virtual reality venue. There was Oculus and there was HTC, both there. So I was like, oh, what are they? I would probably check them out. I knew at the time, as a rough estimate, I needed £1,000 at least for a PC, and I'm going to need another £500, £600, £700. I think the Oculus was like £500, I believe, something like that. And the HTC was more. And I was like, well, I'm out. I can't do that, obviously. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford that. And then you experience PlayStation VR, and they were like, well, if you've got a PS4, which once you've bought something, you kind of forgot you paid for it. It's yours. It's done. It's not in the equation of what do I, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, it's just like, what do I need to experience this? And it was £400, and it was a no-brainer for me. And so, kind of like the wave of what happened with Quest happened actually in 2016 for a lot of people. They got into PSVR, and I don't. Before the Quest, a lot of people would have said that VR wouldn't have been where it is now without PlayStation VR. You know, those exclusives are fantastic. You know, even now you can go on Steam Store, and there's like, I'm not saying there's not bad games on PSVR, but a lot of the games are high quality on there. They're good games, you know, and they're well-known games as well. You know, like Wipeout, for example. A lot of people go to me, oh, this racing game is much better on VR. But for me, Wipeout was like a dream come true. I couldn't believe playing Wipeout in VR. So I think the sooner the better that PlayStation go, right, here is PSVR 2, inside-out tracked. I don't care if it's wired, personally. If it's got the inside-out tracking, it's wired, and that's to keep costs down, I'm good with that. It's all about the UI, you know, and the controllers, you know, it's all those things matter to me. they could again show dominance, because how many people are going to buy a PS5? They're going to forget they need to buy a PS5 kind of thing, and they just need a new headset, and boom, like, you're going to see things grow again. It's going to be all over again. It's going to be another wave of new people. That is, I strongly believe that is what happened. And I feel the Quest come along as PSVR for me kind of was dying off a bit, you know. Games were slowing down, and that's kind of what happened for me personally.
Well, it makes sense because PlayStation 4 is nearing the end of their cycle, so a lot of developers are starting to focus on PS5, and so you have less games coming out, and then here comes the Oculus Quest, and even if, especially for PlayStation VR players, that's all they've experienced. They get in that Quest 1, and they've got real tracking.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? They can spin around. They can do things they couldn't do with the PlayStation VR. As amazing as it is, it didn't have the exclusives, and that's where the bread's buttered. That's what keeps Wes always coming back, and that's why he's so excited to try out all those old classics again. Farpoint, Astrobot, they're so good that Resident Evil, they still hold their
Rush of Blood.
Rush of Blood. There's some of the best games out there. So I agree with you. It'll be a completely new refresh, new people coming in. And then especially once just like now, everybody's seeing Oculus, man, the Quest. There's more advertisements for VR now than's ever existed.
Oh, dude, nearly most, obviously, as we know, algorithms and stuff, they're going to show you what you're looking for. Obviously, I'm searching virtual reality all the time. Quest comes up all the time, Quest 2, and super hot a lot at the moment. So, yeah.
Yep.
You know what the funny thing about that is as well? Normally I skip ads in most cases, but since I've been getting a lot more VR related ads, I kind of just let them play now. And it's good because, I'm not a partner. We're not a partner with YouTube yet. Obviously, we haven't hit 1,000 subscribers. But it helps the content creators, doesn't it? If the viewer watches the entire ad.
Yeah, the odd person used to leave me a message saying you're the only channel I watch the whole ad on, and I say to him, you don't have to do that, because some of them are like, I remember clicking on one video once, and the video was like 2.5 minutes, and I was like, oh man, like no one wants to watch a detergent advert for that long.
Dedication.
It is dedication. Yeah. I'm very lucky, but yeah. So all this stuff's going on with Quest. I think some people, or our community sometimes, like we're going to talk about the Deca Gear VR, PCVR based. The sleeping giant for me is PlayStation again, and it will happen eventually, and that is how I feel about it. I really do. I feel they could come out, and it's going to be straightforward gaming again. You know, years ago I was into PC. Sorry, I remember buying my first PC. My wife wasn't very happy about it because I wanted to buy the correct specs for Half-Life 2. And I didn't know a thing about PCs. And I was like, went in the shop and I was like, I want to play Half-Life 2 on the best way possible. Like, what are the best specs? And it was like an ATI Radeon 9800 XT from memory. Don't know what the RAM was. Don't know about anything else, but I know it's a lot of money. It's like £1,500. I went home and I was like, wow, this is incredible. It's amazing. But what I noticed was the drop-off was fast. Games like Doom 3, Far Cry, Half-Life 2 all come out around the same time. They run fantastic. Within a year, I'm not hitting like ultra high settings anymore. I'm hitting like high. And then a year after that, I was getting medium. And then I was getting the blue screen of death. And then I was like, hold on a minute. Was this worth the investment? Because now I've got to play catch up. Obviously, the more further we go into tech, the less advancements are made. And obviously back then they were making leaps, you know what I mean, in graphical improvements. But it put me off. I was like, I'd rather just go back to my games consoles and know that whatever I put out then, actually most of the time you just see an improvement over the life cycle. It doesn't get worse. It tends to get more and more better. The quality's better. So, yeah, when it comes to VR, I was a bit hesitant to get the PC side of things. But luckily, I think at the moment there's a good standard. There is some channels out there that do low-end PC VR content to show you what you can run these games on. You know, and what apart from you, Wes, because you got the 3080 today, what is your guys' rigs? What else have you got apart from the 3080? What's your like CPU and your RAM and?
Well, I think we're both running an 8700K. I'm still running on 16 gigabytes of DDR4 3200, but I am actively searching for a 32 gigabyte kit because it's so cheap now compared to what it was when I built my computer 3 years ago. It's literally like maybe 25% of the cost now than it was then. So that's probably my last major upgrade for a little while on my computer is I am going to upgrade my RAM.
Well, think about the video card. The new people coming into PCVR or PC in general, that's going
Yeah.
to get a 1080 Ti or equivalent for a couple $100. Like the low end is gone so high now, it's getting really cheap to get into it. I'm running the 8700K. I got a 2080, and then I'm running 48 gigs of RAM, which everybody like freaks out. Like, oh man, I've researched it. It's fine. It runs amazing. I've got a lot of RAM, and I like it. You know, people used to say 16's enough, and then I was playing. I think it was No Man's Sky and VR. There was some game I was playing, and I always monitor my FPS VR, and I looked at it, and it was using like 15.5 gigabytes or something, and I was like, okay, it's too close. It's right on the edge.
Yeah.
And I know it can draw from other resources, but I don't want it to. So
Yeah, I literally, I'm an i9 9900K. I've got the RTX 2070, which is crazy because everyone said to me, get a 1080 Ti at the time. Yeah, but the 2070 was like, I think it was £450, but the 1080 Ti, which was older, was still like 900 or something, and I was just like, I can't figure that out. I'll just go to the 2070, and I haven't regretted it. But it's only when you stream. For me personally, if I didn't stream, I'd be really happy still with my graphics card from what I see. But streaming, especially trying to do mixed reality, oh, it just wipes out a system. And so, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going for.
are you doing a one stream setup?
Yeah,
For
yeah,
one
yeah.
computer?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, see myself. I think that's the real, when people make it to that second computer and then you're only using one computer to run your stream and then the other's doing for the gaming. I think that's good. That's how to make it, to get to that live. Because I've had the same issues. I try to go into that where you're gonna have this mixed reality thing, and I'm like, what is going on? This is too much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's really quite intensive on a PC sometimes, and then it's just a whole load of things. But anyway, yeah. So as I said, I do think PSVR is a sleeping giant. I think when PS5 comes out, I can't wait to hear what's going to happen, and I think you're going to see a lot of channels. Like at the moment, obviously, I've seen a lot of channels personally in the almost 3 years I've been doing this, rise from nowhere because it is like, and it is just pure Quest. And even now you'll go on their channels and they'll be like, a Quest video will do really well. They'll try and cover something else that they're probably genuinely interested in and it won't do as well. But they do a Quest video again, boom, and that's got to be attractive for anyone wanting to get into this. But I think that will happen with PlayStation VR. I do think that'll happen again. So the video that's been run. Sorry, Wes, you going to say something?
No, I was just going to point out something else that I'm looking forward to that kind of speaks to what you're saying here. Is how awesome is it going to be on the PlayStation 5 to actually have built-in integrated streaming and sharing that's actually good. You could do 720p from the PlayStation 4, but I fully expect the streaming and sharing experience to be next level on the PlayStation 5, streamlined and easy to use. So I feel like that's going to also help expand when PlayStation VR 2 finally does get here, help raise the profile a little bit.
I can genuinely see why there's so many news channels out there for Quest, because it's very hard to capture Quest content. It's not easy, and it's especially hard to share it with your family, for example. It's not easy. I still get the question of, how can I show people what I'm doing in the headset? Do you plug in a cable? I'm like, if you got a Google Chromecast, you're good. And as you said, like, the reason I'm sitting here today is actually because of PSVR share button. I was just playing a game, and I'm like, what does this button do? And I was like, what? I can stream directly to YouTube right now, and people can see what I'm seeing. It's an amazing feature, and that's why I started doing what I've done now. Really, is from that. And you just get, you just want more and more. You see some guy playing it, and you can see their body in the video, and I'm like, dude, that sells VR even better, because then you can see that they're not just sitting there on a controller, they're doing the things with their hands, and yeah, it's just it is amazing, dude. Yeah, I reckon it'd definitely be a 1080p thing, or an option at least, to when you share that footage.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think they're going to. It's got to come. I mean, as much as they want to streamline everything social media wise, at least, I mean, I know you can stream to Facebook pretty easy, right? So I mean, I would just want a button that allows me to have Twitch chat in my headset, just natively. Just show me, connect my head. I don't know, man. It can't be that hard, and I don't want to. There's so many options that you can try to do, but especially wirelessly, it becomes a real pain in the ass. And I've heard people suggest, well, just use your phone. Yeah, let me stop the game, look at my phone, respond. I may go the route like you said. I might just have it read it to me, and it's just so that I can do it, because I want to play Population 1 wirelessly, and I want to stream it. So
yeah, and I'll tell you what, Population 1 on Quest 2, I haven't played it on the original Quest, but dude, I had to check I wasn't on PCVR. It is so similar. I was like, it was crazy. I'm not, and like as I said in the live stream the other day, it's not a graphically impressive game. It's not, but it was exactly the same for me. It felt exactly the same, and there was me telling people, because I'd done the beta on Quest, and there's me telling people, I'm like, oh, you're missing some bells and whistles. You know, it's not as shiny in places. I lied. It is. I'd say it's exactly the same experience. So it's crazy. VR Spry Guy just put in some fantastic news, what I've been waiting for such a long time. He put, it sounds like Star Wars Squadron VR frame rate has been fixed. Now, I believe that frame rate issue was it only for Oculus people? Oculus users?
I think it was everybody, because the Index actually benefited because they could go to 120. And so because it was double the 60, they weren't feeling the same weirdness. And that was one of the reasons why I put it on hold for myself, because you could play it, but just moving your head a little bit, you start to see the jitter, and it just bugged the heck out of me. So
yeah, same. I didn't. It was. I loved it, and then I played it again and loved it, and then I played it on virtual desktop at 90 hertz before the Quest was released, kind of thing, that 90 hertz thing, and it was really good. And then I played it again after doing 90 hertz. I wish I hadn't done it, because I got in there and I was like, oh, I don't like this. And then I played it again, and I just haven't touched it since, because when I go in there, I'm like, am I going to get a headache? I don't know. I don't really fancy playing that with those weird stutters, and you know, it's like it's running at like, I don't know, 40 frames a second or something. It's ain't just not quite right going on. But either way, the game is fantastic. It's such a good game.
Especially
it's funny to hear everybody say that, because this game launched during my my PSVR only period. So I played the game on PlayStation VR and had absolutely zero issues with it. It looked great. It ran well. There was no reprojection or any of these stutters that people keep complaining about. And it's really interesting to hear people say that it's so far down in terms of optimization on PC. It's actually kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, so I bought the PlayStation VR one as well, because everyone was telling me like it's really good on PlayStation VR. So I played it on the Pro. Direct comparisons for me, resolution wise, are night and day. I don't expect any different. That console's like 5-6 years old, but the game ran perfectly. You know, as I said, it's only things from far away. It was hard to tell what was what, maybe far away, but like you said was as well, I think when you use a certain headset, you kind of overcome those things, you know. I don't know, maybe you just forget that stuff, or, you know, I don't remember ever going to my PlayStation VR back in the day and going, cool, this is blurry. I just thought it looked amazing, simple as. I never thought about it any other way.
It's what you know. It's like Scion VR. We always give him a hard time because he's stuck on a CV1 because of the tracking and other issues. And so he doesn't know the clarity of the Quest 2.
Yeah.
See, I went from the CV1 to the PlayStation VR, and I immediately noticed it. But then, like Wes said, you play it for a bit, an hour, whatever it takes, and then you get used to it. And then the next time you put it on, it's like, oh, this is not bad. You adjust, your eyes adjust to it. But if you're going back and forth, it's like you were saying with the Rift. I sold my Rift S because I did the same thing you did. I went Quest 2, I went back to it, and I was like, oh, screen door, and hell no, I can't do this anymore.
That's exactly what happened, man. I'm hoping, when they do the 90 hertz, like, don't get me wrong, I love people who put out the videos of how to increase resolution and hertz, and then by the end of the video they're like, but every time you turn it off, you've got to do it all again. And I'm like, I'm out. I don't care. I don't want to do that. That is not what VR is for me. VR for me is slam it on, turn it on, I'm in. Like, that's what I want. So as soon as they do that for the Link, where it can absolutely optimize for your PC setup, and you get the best out of it, and you get the 90 hertz, then I will sell the Rift S, because I'm still worried. I'm still a little bit like, oh, I don't know. The money, it's just sitting there. It's not doing anything. It backed me up the other day. To be fair, that stream would have been finished if I'd have sold it, because the Quest 2 had no battery. But yeah, I wouldn't have known it. The screen door. Yeah, it was straight away. I noticed it. The screen door is so crazy.
Yeah.
But when you said about Scion, man, I loved the original Rift. I did. I absolutely loved it. It was incredible. It was like, there was two things that happened. The first time I saw glare or God rays was on the CV. I thought it was broke. I was like, because PSVR doesn't have them, and I saw the Oculus symbol. I was like, and I was moving my head because it sort of moves with you. And I was like, what the hell is that? It was crazy. I'd never seen it before.
For me, it was the Mura. The Mura, I thought it was broke because of that. I had to de-spud mine because in the darks it made everything look gray and murky.
Right.
And then once I took the de-spud tool, it got rid of that, whatever they were trying to do with it. Still don't know to this day what that was about. But it made it better. But I think it made the God rays a little bit more
improved,
pronounced.
Yeah, oh right, yeah, right.
Yeah. So then maybe it was to offset those. But it made, when I went in, because I went into Minecraft, that was the first game I went into, and I had built something, and I was in a cave, and it looked like shit. And I was like, I can't show my friends and family this. And so I was almost ready to return it. Actually, I took one back because you could see like the like almost like a pattern of it. And then I got the other one, and it was the same shit was there. And then I ended up finding out about the spud tool, and it fixed it. Otherwise, I might have not been in VR. So.
Crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about the spud tool, and my experience was very similar to yours, GT, where I'm coming out of PlayStation VR that has this bright, vibrant, screen in it, and still to this day the best lenses in any VR headset. And I come over to the CV1, and it's dull, and there's God rays all over everything. And yeah, I was taken aback by it. Obviously I kept it because I had a killer gaming rig, and that compensated for it quite a bit.
Yeah.
But if you would have asked me back then, and I said it many times, which headset I prefer the visuals in, I would have told you PlayStation VR headset looks better in the headset than the CV1, despite the CV1 having more resolution.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing about CV1 as well is the sound. I do miss that with the Quest and the over-ear things. I do, but I always think to myself, the Quest is ready to share, so I don't attach anything to it. That's my prerogative of the Quest, is the idea of sharing.
Like you said, ease of use, man. That's what blew me away. And Anthony on 365 would always rant about this, and I had no concept of it because I didn't have the Quest 1, but being able to grab it, put it on, I'm already hitting the button before I put it on. It's on. I can hit the virtual desktop and be into a PCVR wireless game in about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And there's none of the jank of all the PCVR, whatever. I don't know what's going on with PC sometimes. It seems like there's always some weirdness with audio or this or that, or with the Rift S, you got to unplug and plug it back in. It's all gone. It's just instant. And it makes me play VR about probably 70% more. Wes can say, I had a drought where I was kind of drifting away. I was doing more flat than VR, and I've done more VR in the last couple weeks than I have in several months. Yeah. And there was a lot of things. So
yeah, I've had that though. I've had a stage of I think is when it comes to VR, I think when you experience the Quest, when the Quest come out, loads of good content, loads of good games. And then there was that period of there's no releases. And people who are new, especially to VR, were like, where's the new games, GT? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know what to say to you. There's just nothing coming out. And then you go and put the PSVR on, and then, you got I'm not saying everyone has. Most people got it set up already. That's fine. But if you haven't got it set up, you've got to do that setup. And then you're playing a game like Super Hot, and you trot on the cable. You jar your head back, and you're like, "God, I don't really want that cable." And then you're aware of the tracking because you turn round and you're facing the wrong way, and then like your hands go everywhere, and there's all these little things, and you're like, I can see why the Quest does what it does. There's none of those issues. The reason I went from the CV1 to the Rift S was because I wanted 360 tracking. I knew with the CV1 I needed sensors, to do the live streams. That's what I wanted because you need 360 for that. And the Rift S done it. And I went to Gamescom and I tried the Index, I tried the Vive Pro, and I tried the Rift S. And the Rift S, like bang for buck, was it. That display, those controllers. Again, it was bloody comfortable. It made sense. But now I'm like, dude, I wouldn't recommend a Rift S to anyone. I'll be like, get a Quest 2, get the link cable. Job's done. So
Yeah.
Elite strap. Get the
Elite strap.
I still haven't got an Elite strap.
Oh my lord, dude! The Elite
Are you
strap
still
with the
using
battery.
elastic one?
My head's like a rock. Yeah, I am actually using the jock strap, as it's called fondly.
The Elite strap with the battery in there. Everyone focuses on the offsetting weight, right? Which is great. But the fact that I can plug it in and I'm charging in the back, charging both of them at the same time, and then the battery pack is always sending the power. Like if you have like you've used like 70%, you got 30% left in your headset, and you take it off and put it aside, it's automatically pulling it to your headset. It's just really cool the way it's set up. It's really easy to use. And after Wes's, like I literally thought that it was still uncomfortable, and Wes is like, nah, dude, you just got to swivel it down, bro. So I swiveled it down, and I swear to God, I feel like this is the best, most comfortable headset I've ever worn. I feel like there's no pressure on there anymore. And that's the difference. You have to wear it. It's all user error, I think, for most people.
Yeah, especially with the braking thing. When Matt got his Elite strap, we like message on WhatsApp and stuff, and he was like, he said it was on par with the PSVR for him in comfort, and the PSVR was the most comfortable headset he'd ever used. So yeah, like funny enough, with the strap as it is, I've noticed I've got good days and bad days with it, and I don't know why. It's not like my ears move, obviously, but there's something about it where if I don't quite angle it up a little bit and I don't quite put it up here at the right point, it can be like, oh, I can feel it. I can feel it digging into my ears. But if I get the setup right, I can use it for ages and be fine. It was actually the VR cover that changed everything for me. And I'm imagining with that, because what it was, I played the Quest. I wanted to use the Quest 2 naturally as it was out of the box. Because what I really want to say to people is it's £300 or $300 and that's it. Nothing else, apart from the link cable, which is optional. It's very comfortable. Unfortunately, it's not. Again, it's not that comfortable for everyone. So yeah, but getting the VR cover faceplate changed everything, because I think I must have been in my head going, it's fine, it's a lot better, and it is a lot better. And then Mrs. GT used the Quest 2, and within 10 minutes, she was like, this is really hurting my head. I can't use it. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. Because if you feel that way, chances are other people are going to feel that way straight away. And it was upsetting. I was like, oh no. And then I think we was doing the VR Link unboxing or something, or I was doing something, and I got the faceplate out and I put it in and I tried it, and I was like, wow, like what an amazing accessory. Have you guys got the VR cover thing? Has anyone been able to get one of them yet? Your faces aren't black, so I'm assuming you haven't tried it yet.
Mine comes on the 30th, or it ships the 30th, I think, is when it said it was supposed to, or maybe gets here. I don't know. Somebody asked in the chat to explain a little bit more about the swivel thing. The thing's designed to where it can you can rotate it up and back.
Yeah.
And so what I did is you put it on, and then you can kind of swivel it down a little bit more, and you can adjust that to take the pressure off of your forehead. And I found with that Elite strap, and then doing that, not only did it feel more comfortable, Gamertag, I was blown away because I feel like my FOV had already gotten bigger with the Rift S, but because I was able to get it closer to my face, it got even bigger. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I was already raving about this headset. People are like calling me an Oculus fanboy. It's just a good headset.
Yeah. It is, man. It is. There's too much good going on with this to be associated with Facebook. It's really annoying. But this, honestly, this thing, dude, it is so lush. It is so lush. It is more comfortable than any sofa and couch I've ever sat on. It is beautiful. And when you put it on your face, honestly, guys, I think if you think it's comfy now, and it sounds ultimately comfy, which would probably mean to me, I wouldn't bother investing in this. But for like the $20 I'm assuming this is going to be, I would go for it because it's changed this headset completely already, let alone without the Elite strap.
Maybe it's the other way around, Gamertag. Maybe that's the smart way to do it. You don't need the Elite strap with that VR cover. You now have the elasticness of the head strap, and you've got the comfort. Maybe it'll be just as comfortable. Right?
Yeah, so without using the Elite strap, at the moment, if someone said to me, what would I buy? And they were available, I would say spend the $20 because there's no way I can't promote that because it's so good. It's so comfy. And yeah, as I said, on the right days, probably, I don't know, 8 out of 10 times I use this headset and I can feel these straps on the top of my ears. But there's those 8 times where I'm like, dude, this is done. Like, I don't need anything else. So yeah, there is that. But I'm hoping they get that ink thing sorted, and that'd be really nice. So yeah, thank you to everyone in the chat. We've had a great conversation today. we've hardly moved on from actually talking about opinions, which is lovely. It's really nice. So yeah, so if you want more of that, as I said, and I'm not going to harp on about it, but go and subscribe to these guys. They're really cool, and they do great conversations. So Valve confirms the 450 Deca Gear 4K headset is very real. 3 weeks ago, Kuntzman, got to say that really quick, announced a $450 Steam VR headset called the Deca Gear 1, claimed as having the HP reverb resolution, facial expression tracking, hip tracking, and touch-like controllers with index-like finger tracking. You can pre-order one now, because I went on the website. I think it's $10. The first batch is shipping in May 2021. The headset is said to feature dual 2160 by 2160 panels at 90 Hz. And the PPI is listed as 1058. So given the specifications, Upload VR have said it is probably the same panel used by HP. Now, before I get any more into this, Wes, I believe you have pre-ordered a G2. Is that right? Have you?
That is correct. I have, going back to our previous conversation, it's kind of the one thing that's holding me back from getting like the battery strap and the VR cover for my Oculus Quest. I'm not quite sure yet if my Oculus Quest 2 is going to be my daily driver, and I really won't know until I get my my HP Refurb G2.
But where does it, if I was, so I haven't pre-ordered an HP, if I was thinking about, I think HP Reverb looks the best PCVR headset as well. It looks genuinely high quality and comfortable. I love the Index. I've used the Index. I didn't actually like the controllers that much. Personally, the Knuckles, I didn't get on with them, unfortunately. I wanted to, because the FOV was absolutely outstanding, like absolutely amazing. But when I saw this, is there any way in your mind that you would possibly think, okay, I'm going to sit on the fence and wait to see what this does? Because $450, how much is the HP Reverb?
Yeah, it's $600.
Okay, so $150. I mean, that's not a massive. That's not like a world away from, you know. But then when you're adding face tracking, you know, and this hip tracking thing, believe me, I'm a bit skeptical about this stuff to actually try it, like any of this. But I don't know if I'd want to pause the thought at least, you know, and be like, what is this? What is this about? Because in the video I'm showing now, it is a real product. It is actually, sounds like it is going to happen. Whether they're going to be able to produce it to the numbers that people will need it, because all this stuff happens. That is another thing. If a headset comes out and you're like, oh, I want that headset, and you can't have it, how long are you going to wait till you go, I'll go and get something else anyway? You know, so, but yeah.
Especially with other headsets that are readily available, like Quest 2 is, you can go get it all day everywhere.
Yeah, saw a video of a guy the other day. He said that is one of the biggest things as well, let alone all the other spreadsheet tick lists we've gone through. You can go to a shop and buy one.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
It's like,
that's the thing. That's the thing here. You know, you consider things like that when you buy something like a a Reverb G2. If I've learned anything in my 3 years in PC gaming, it's that the next thing is always right around the corner, and it's not just the Deca Gear. We know for a fact that Samsung is working on a new headset as well, and that could be out at any moment, and it could blow everything out of the water. But with respect to the Deca Gear specifically, I've seen enough Kickstarter projects come to full funding, get extended out 1 year,
Yeah.
2 years, 3 years, to know that this small team at Deca Gear, they're really up against it here. And if this thing actually does take off, and a lot of people end up showing interest in it, it's going to be difficult not only for them to make it to market with this feature set and this price, but to keep up with demand as well. So no, I don't really have any pause about this specific product, but I do kind of, I am a little iffy about it in general because, like I said, there's Samsung, and we've heard rumors about LG. There's always the next big thing coming. So at some point, you just kind of have to pick one and go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one of the things, if it were to come sooner than later, a lot of the things that only people that I've heard that are hesitant about the G2 is people that are really interested in tracking. So I think if they could produce something cheaper with better, superior tracking, that could draw away from those sales, could get somebody like Scion, because that's his biggest reason why he doesn't want to leave CV1. He's afraid that his precious Echo VR is going to be affected, and I guess he's got to be like spot on with his holding your disc behind your back for a minute and a half or whatever. I don't know why. I don't play that game too much, but I could see that making a difference.
Yeah, I was just gonna pop into chat. I've been Chris Williamson. It's just so hard. He's put something about VR cover. I just want to address it. Let me have a look. I don't know how far back I've got to go, because I want to basically read the message to make sure. It's just hard to sit here and listen to everyone talking about the VR cover for Quest 2 when we can't order it. Don't have an ETA. It feels like the guys are rubbing it in. Yeah, listen, if you're finding your Oculus Quest 2 that uncomfortable, I do agree. I would probably feel the same. That how come I've got one and maybe, content creators or whatever have got some to review. Now, bear in mind, when I got my unit, I didn't know that because the Quest wasn't released publicly. So it was kind of like, I didn't even think to check whether you could buy it, because at the end of the day, I mean, they could have pre-sold them, but I was assuming on launch day, VR cover were going to go, there's your link, because I've got a referral link with them. And I've slammed their products in the past and I've promoted them. It just helps my channel out. But yeah, so I didn't even know that they weren't available, and then that's why I haven't done a review video though. Yeah, the podcast is just an open conversation with us and you. It'd be different if I put out a video reviewing the product and then going, you can't buy it, because there'd be no point. That would be even more frustrating, I feel, for however many people watch the video. So I've literally not done a video because of that reason. I know what you can do though, sign up to like a newsletter. And another thing that happened recently was the whatever colouring they were using, whatever it's called. I did read it out last week. VR Cover sent me a massive message about what happened. People were getting black marks on their face, and I think these are from VR Cover's official Oculus version, which is what you buy through Oculus Store, which I believe is a different product to the VR Cover product. They look
so
different.
Which one do you have, GT? Do you have the VR cover version or the Oculus Store version?
I've got the unreleased VR Cover version. Yeah. So and I can see what Chris William is saying without going through the rest of the chat. It's not nice. It's not fair. If you've got something and you want to make it more comfortable, I wish they were out, dude. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't know what the business is doing. To be fair, because from my interest, if I am going to promote that, I think it's a fantastic product. My wife thinks it's a great product. Literally, the Quest 2 went from being uncomfortable to heavily usable. Done. Like, for me, that's a good product. So yeah, as soon as that happens, I will let you know. They are going to let me know as well. I think so. Last week we reported on this. You can go and have a look at last week's show. I read out the email they put out, basically explaining what had happened with the colouring, the business. I think whoever they were using messed up or something. I don't know. But yeah, it'll be sorted, dude. And there you go, Onikays. I have the Oculus Store VR cover version. Yeah, so I got my VR, got a pre-order with the Elite strap. So have you guys got the VR cover from Oculus?
No,
I
I've
do
had
not.
it for every other headset I've ever owned. I've bought the VR cover, but again, I've kind of been holding off on tricking out my Quest till I know whether or not it's going to be my
I never thought
daily driver. Or
never thought of it as tricking it out. It's like a pair of skates. I like that. Yeah. What about you, Roots? What have you got?
I got it ordered. It says it's supposed to be here October 30th, from what I just checked. So it's doable. I feel like for me, it's just going to be more hygienic and more, like you said, it's almost like a pillow on your face. Well, you didn't say that. I'm putting that word in your mouth, but it's very comfortable and very plush. And like Wes, I've always had some kind of face cover. I couldn't get a good one for the Rift S. I had to go through AMVR versus VR cover. But other than that, it's always been VR cover.
Yeah, for sure. There was only one product, and I cannot remember the name of it from VR cover that I just couldn't recommend. I can't remember what it was. I really can't remember. But yeah, VR cover, whatever one it was, it might have been back on CV1. One was good.
well, they had that cloth like cover thing that didn't really fit all that well. Maybe that's what you're thinking.
I don't know what it was. I can't remember, but because they sent me a new one or a better one for the CV1, and it was like, wow, this is brilliant. And everything else since then, to be fair, has been good. But when my channel was obviously a lot smaller then, I remember thinking, like, you don't get many things for free in life in general. So when someone sends you something for free, you tend to feel like you should be like, oh yeah, but then it turns out to be bad. And you're like, oh no, my first product's a review, and I'm going to be like, don't buy it. It was horrible. I was like, oh no, god damn it. But the difference was they came back, and they made something even better, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, sorry about that, Chris. I understand that frustration. It's not very nice, especially when you spent like $300 on a headset and you might find it uncomfortable.
Well, the good news is they're almost out. So Chris Williamson, you'll be in heaven pretty soon here, from what GT is saying about how good it is. So definitely a recommendation, I'm assuming, from you to pick it up. So
absolutely, yeah, I can't wait. So just to jump back on this headset quickly, the $450 package comes with dual controllers, which kind of look like a weird mix of the top tracking ring looks like the Vive Cosmos. The handle part and the joystick and the buttons look like the Touch, but it's longer and kind of has the strap of the Index. It's like a weird hybrid of all three. It's very strange to look at, but yeah. So, and then another thing, apparently he was teasing that for $50 he could do a wireless add-on. So, all those little things, I'm like, that's pretty amazing. It sounds almost too amazing.
Well, we've been through Pimax. We've been down that road. Promises from every direction. Everything's mishmashed from everybody's thing. The controller's changing a million times. This isn't Pimax, obviously, but that's my concern. And like Wes said, you maybe several years down the road before I would even see this headset. So it's too sketchy for me.
Yeah.
I always get cracked up when I look at something like hip tracking. I'm not so sure. I mean, it's a good idea in theory, but I'm not so sure how well it's going to work in practice. And I always get cracked up when you watch the VR tech space and accessory space, especially, and all the different products that we have. That I wonder how anyone could ever think that these things are going to become like a mainstream thing. For example, I saw Microsoft showing off the other day this thing that allows it's like a glove that has a ball attached to it.
Oh yeah.
And when you throw,
yeah, I saw that.
the ball comes into your hand, so you could feel yourself catch and throw in VR. Like, who in the world is going to ever buy that?
Yeah.
And even if they did, what developer is going to support that?
Oh no, dude! As soon as I saw that, my feed was again the VR news of these ball cup videos, and yeah, I don't know whether the thing is some people and enthusiasts, we don't know what they're earning, we don't know what money they've got. Some people will invest in that stuff. They just want to see if it works, and they just want to experience that. And I
Your
get that. I'd love
balls.
to experience that. You know what I mean? But I'd rather have my wife throw an orange at me. I'd rather time it and say, right, you ready? For 3, 2, 1. Whoa, that was amazing. You know, I'd rather do that. That would be cheaper.
I'd rather get a yaw and then feel like I'm on, somebody in our community got the yaw and he uses it for roller coasters.
That looks amazing.
All sorts of cool things. That would be awesome.
That looks amazing. I was speaking to Yor for a little while. Another thing is Haptics. I was speaking to them, and I can't wait to experience something like Phasmophobia in Haptics. I can't wait to do stuff like that because I've done when I went to Gamescom. I experienced that. It was I didn't do the face one, but I had the chest. I think it might have been ankles. I can't remember. I definitely had wrists and something else. It was awesome. It was so cool. It was kind of like the first time I ever used a rumble pack on an N64. I was like, dude, this is incredible. Do you know what I mean? It was one of those things. But again, it's pricey. The stuff is expensive. I'm just running a video in the background here of a compilation I made a long time ago of a top 20 VR or something like that, games coming out. Dude, Population 1 looks so different back in the day. Graphically, it actually looks really good. Very different. And I don't know whether... I'm assuming by looking at it that when the Quest come out and they were like, that's where the player base is going to be, they toned things down, for that crossplay or something. I don't know, but it's interesting. Were you guys part of the beta or the alpha for that game?
I did not, but I talked to several people that have, and they said it looks different. We had a big discussion in the in our Discord of people complaining about the graphics, but I would say it looks amazing. It's clear, it's sharp, and it doesn't matter what you crank up your settings to. It runs amazing. It's even standalone. So all of those things, we're all about immersion. We want to feel like everything's like we're in that world. And graphics are important, but we go back a year and a half to 2 years ago. Everybody was saying graphics don't matter. It's all about the gameplay. So we get the gameplay. Now everyone's bitching and saying the graphics, need to be like, a AAA game. But when you get in there, and usually the criticism I see from most people is people that haven't even been in the damn game. I think it looks really good and it plays phenomenal. It's one of my most favorite games I've been playing the last few weeks.
I think it's a proven recipe of gameplay over graphics anyway. The graphics deliver the gameplay. Do you know what I mean? Or it's not the other way around. It's not like one of those games that look fantastic but don't play that well. I think it's the other way around. I think the game looks normal, but the gameplay is phenomenal and it's fast paced and it's great fun. It's very hard for me because I could actually stream it a lot. Like you said, you want to stream it on the Quest, and now I'm tempted to just stream it on the Quest as well because I was so blown away by the version. I was like, dude, this is just like the PCVR version, It's like I don't know how much it's worth now, but say a £2,000 PC and a £300 headset, and the game looks the same. I'm like, it's crazy. And I'd say it actually looks a bit sharper because it's native on the Quest. So
have you noticed the virtual desktop? Even though it's not the link cable, it because of the vibrance, they've got that setting for more vibrant colors and more darker darks and brighter brights. I think it visually looks better. I guess for the first time, Wes, and I'm not discounting what you said in the past, but I never really saw it because you've made that comparison about the PlayStation VR and just how the colors popping can make such a big difference. I went into the menu and I was like, holy shit, it's the reds were popping, the yellows, everything looks better and more vibrant, which I guess that's what the setting says. But it impressed me on top of the wireless and the fact that I can just spin around. If I hear a noise behind me, I just whip around and I'm ready to shoot them, right? That makes a difference in this type of game. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll vouch for the new color vibrant settings in virtual desktop as well. When I put my 3080 in my computer, the first thing I did was go in and play Lone Echo via virtual desktop, And I went in again last night, and I did it with my link cable, and I wanted to test out the new tool that lets you raise the bit rate up. So I raised the bit rate up to 350, and went in with my link cable, and it looked great. It was crystal clear. It was amazing, but I did notice that the colors weren't quite as vibrant as they were the day before on using the wireless connection through Virtual Desktop.
It's crazy.
Do you know
I
what?
just can't.
Streaming kills my game time. Like before, when I first got the Quest, I was like putting time into experimenting, you know. And I put a Reddit. I probably could have done it on the channel because I noticed a load of. I'd have been one of the first ones, but a lot of people were doing virtual desktop, and they were amazed by virtual desktop with 90 hertz wireless. And that is exactly what happened to me. I did it. I put on First Contact. Like you know the experience I'm talking about, the Oculus one where you meet the robot, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, how the hell is this so vivid and so amazing? And I was like, and I got my phone and I videoed the screen and inside the headset on the iPhone 11. It's actually got quite a good camera, and I posted it on Reddit, and people were like, wow, that looks amazing. And then like a week later there was loads of videos on YouTube, and I thought, damn.
Well, think about this.
Could have made a good one there.
The fact that you're as invested in the hardware, and you know what I mean, this is your life, you know what I mean, and it blew you away. That's what blows me away the most, is it's blowing me away, it's blowing you away, it's blowing Wes away. The people that really know and we live this day in, day out, it's like I just couldn't stop raving about it, to the point where I had a moment kind of that with Chris Williamson with Scion, where he was like, dude, I was in a stream and he's like, are you just trying to brag about wireless VR because he doesn't have it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I just can't shut up. It's just that good. I just, it is amazing.
It's a weird, amazing feeling to just sit untethered VR. There's just something really special about it. It's almost like I felt. I know it's an open mouth moment, but it felt like that. I felt like it was a future moment. You know, you're experiencing something you probably shouldn't have in your hands just yet. That's what it was like for me. And it was amazing. And then the only thing was, obviously, I'm like, yeah, it's 90 hertz, but everyone's like, yeah, but it's a 60 FPS video, so no one's going to see it. And that might have been part of the reason. I was like, yeah, it's a good point. Like YouTube doesn't do 90 FPS, and maybe some people wouldn't be able to watch it at 90 FPS anyway. But it nonetheless, from just verbally, I was telling people it was phenomenal. And I'm glad you felt the same, Roots.
Jeff Bob wants to know if virtual desktop is actually this good. It absolutely is. It's it is amazing. I can't believe it's only $20 on the Quest, and it to me, it's worth every penny. It's like you're getting the TP Cast that was $300 a year and a half, 2 years ago for $20. For me, that's a no-brainer. Now, granted, I did run out and I did buy a Wi-Fi 6 for $200, so now I'm at $220. But I wanted the best experience. Wes did not run out and get a Wi-Fi 6, and he's having, from what he says, as good of an experience as me, if not better. So
yeah. Chris Williams says virtual desktop is great. Only found one title it didn't work with, Defense Grid VR. Yeah, I've had no issues with virtual desktop. I played Star Wars Squadrons, as I said earlier, for like 2 hours. And the only reason I actually forgot. Like the first thing people ask is, it's not about resolution, it's about input lag. That's what they want to know exactly, because obviously input lag is going to kill the immersion. They want to know, is there any input lag? My brain doesn't perceive it. It's so minimal. I don't doubt it's there. It's probably like 30 milliseconds or something. I don't notice it as a human being. And I think that's the bit that people find hard to accept. You know, they're like, there must be a downside to this. Because everything most things you know about the internet and stuff, everyone would say, yeah, wired over wireless all the time. But with virtual desktop, yeah, it is brilliant. It is brilliant.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
my experience, up until Quest 2, it was an inferior experience for me. Like when I did it on the Quest 1, there were always all kinds of jitter and lag, and it was playable, and it did in fact get better over time, especially when I got a better router. But it wasn't until Quest 2 that it became seamless, that it became perfect, and that it became my preferred way to play.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if it's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, mate, you go, honestly.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi 6 or not. I've played Beat Saber on Expert Plus. Now, granted, I'm not the best, so I couldn't finish the song anyway. But I wasn't seeing any difference, and I'm able to was able to hit every block. Same thing with In Death. Now, granted, when I cranked it from 90 to 150, my saber started bending. That was very bizarre. I've never seen that in VR. It was very cool, worth trying just to check it out. But at 90, I put it at 90 megabytes per second, and I can't tell a difference. And the gameplay is there's no different, and that's Beat Saber. So
Yeah, so I checked out Beat Saber. That was the first thing I jumped into. It's annoying because I could have made a good video. But if I didn't stream, because if I'm streaming PCVR, it's when we was talking about streaming Quest and PSVR, I listen to comments because one of the best things about PSVR was if you streamed from it, you could see comments in the headset. Nice and easy, lovely. I think on Quest, if you stream to Facebook, again, you see the comments in the headset. But if you go outside that to OBS, that's it. There's no real way of interacting. So on the Quest and PlayStation VR, I have to listen to it. And depending on the amount of viewers, it can be hard work. It can be, because especially if you're with a team of people and they want to play and you've got all sorts of comments going on, and it can be really tough. So whenever I get the chance to play a game that is like cross-platform, like Population 1, I tend to go on PCVR because I can just view my chat. I can pin it in virtual space, and I can actually play the game well, or better, hopefully, apart from Onward last night. I didn't play that well for the first couple of matches. But yeah, that's the reason. Otherwise, I'd be in virtual desktop a lot. I'd probably always use virtual desktop and not buy a link cable, because it is that good for me.
that's what I've been trying to do. Is got the OVR toolkit, and I can get it to come up in there, but if not with Oculus SDK games, and even Population 1 uses Oculus SDK, even if you have it on Steam. So I had to get it to where it's going to start up under OpenVR with a command. But then when I do that, I can't click just the beginning thing. I can't get to the actual game. So I'm going to mess with that again. But I'm right on the edge of being able to use the OVR toolkit wirelessly, and then you can run the audio for everything through virtual desktop and your mic.
Nice.
And so everything it's like right on the edge. But I've been playing with my link cable for the exact same reason, because I just want to pin the window. I want to look. I mean, I'm streaming because I want to interact with the chat. Like, they're the most important thing. That, you know what I mean? Otherwise, I wouldn't be streaming.
Yeah.
If I can't talk to them, what is the point? In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely 100%. But Wes, you had much experience with Pop 1? You played it a lot, or?
No. Actually, I actually had my first experience with it last night, and I didn't even go into any live gameplay. I just I had an idea that it might come up today, so I went ahead and jumped in and did the tutorial, and I did the training for about 30 or 45 minutes, and I got to say I was impressed. It was, the competitive multiplayer games are normally not my thing. I do like Contractors, I do like Firewall. But it's not my go-to. So I'm a bit skeptical about a $30 game that has one map and one mode. But
on
I
paper,
was,
dude, on paper, I'd completely agree with you. Honestly, on
yeah.
paper, I'd completely agree with that.
But I got in there and I was impressed with not only how it felt, running around, climbing, flying, but the weapons, they all felt good as well, in spite of the nerfing, if you will, of the controls. I felt like it felt good to shoot. The gun sounded and looked really good. There's a good variety, and yeah, I think I might buy it now. I played it on Steam through a shared copy. I think I might buy it now on Oculus because of the cross buy, and I can actually have it on PC and the Quest as well.
Nice. Yeah, I think cross-buy should be a standard now, really. And I've noticed the community backlash if it isn't there now, and I think developers are picking up on that.
Yeah, I think Facebook should have been a little bit more insistent upon it. They've got the obviously they didn't know that Quest was going to be the success that it was, But they've got all the leverage now. They have the money maker in VR. I mean, other than PlayStation VR, which has kind of fallen off over the last year or so.
Mm.
The Quest platform is where the money's at.
Yeah.
So I feel like Facebook has the leverage to tell these guys, hey, if you're going to be on our platform, you're going to support cross-buy. Maybe not fully, but they could at least put some kind of a discount on there for someone who's already paid for the game. Maybe you can add, the link version or add the Quest version for an extra $5-10. They could do something like that if they wanted to, and I felt like Facebook has really dropped the ball here.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought that, especially with Phantom Covert Ops, because they done a magnificent job on the Quest version, and when you know the amount of work when a game, it's like making two games almost for them, developing that game. In my mind, I'd be happy to say you can pick up this game as well for like £5 or something like that. That wouldn't bother me too much. I'm glad.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be free, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be free because with that support, because as you said earlier in the show, we want to support developers. Without them, without the music makers, we'll have nothing to sing about. So yeah, have you guys checked out Phasmophobia?
I've played a little bit, actually, and what's funny is I went in there with a couple people, and I think it seemed like our audio equipment was like you watch those shows, and like all of a sudden all their audio, all their electrical equipment go bizarre and lock up.
Right.
Our computers locked up, dude. We had to back out of the game, all of ours. And what was weird is we were just doing the training at first, and these are just the friendly ghosts, right? And and I'm doing this thing, and I've told this before. I there's this book that you got to take into the room, and it's going to have the ghost is going to write something in it. And I'm thinking, okay, whatever. I'm going to run in there, and I'm going to put this book down. It's going to write something. And as I'm running in there, I look down at the book. I'm not even in the room yet. It's already got like all this demonic stuff, like this Baphomet, an upside down cross, like all this stuff, and it freaked me out, dude. Like, and this is the mild stuff, but from what I hear, it has a depth to it that is way more than I thought. Like even just watching streams, and they're having to buy certain equipment, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. It seems like there's more to it than I at first thought, and it's blowing up, right?
I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Like I've got a terrible habit of playing games for the first time live, which can be as frustrating for me as it can for the viewer. I try not to do that now. I try to go into a game, like I've got Blair Witch for tomorrow, going to be streaming Blair Witch tomorrow. I now go into a game, check out menus, and I try and get a tutorial out of the way, at least. But yeah, so with Phasmophobia, I made sure that it was going to run okay with OBS because I didn't want it stuttering and stuff. And then, yeah, like you, I got in there, and all of a sudden we're like, I don't know, I don't know what I expected. I think I expected like a Scooby-Doo kind of experience. It didn't really matter. Something would happen, and I don't know, we'd have caught the ghost. But yeah, there is a lot of depth to it. You've got to figure out. Well, you're a detective, a ghost detective. You're not really hunting the ghost to kill it or capture it. You're kind of sent there to figure out what the ghost is, and that's what you get paid for. And yeah, those ghosts, man, like I've never sweared so loud and so hard in any virtual reality game. Like I literally shouted the F word so loud my chest hurt afterwards. It scared the crap out of me that much. Like it is absolutely insane. And Gamer Chick saying, what did she write? She said she can play it in flat or something, but where's the fun in that? Like I found that with a lot of games. I've tried to play them in flat just because maybe I want a quick go, and it's a completely different game. I can't do Phasmophobia training on my own. I can't do the training. That's why I didn't know what I was doing, because I couldn't do it. I was like, because when you enter a house, there's a sound, isn't there? There's like all the time you're in a haunted house, you go in the house and it's like this weird, horrible sound. Oh man, that game is absolutely insane. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, you've pretty much sold me on it here, because VR horror for me, that's where it's at. That's my favorite thing by far. It's not even close. That's my genre. And I have not played Phasmophobia yet. It dropped during my PlayStation VR exclusive period. And since then, I haven't went into it yet because I've got people who, everybody wants to play it. Like D-Rail wants to play it. You mentioned something about playing it.
Yeah.
Gamer Chick. Everybody, PD wants to play. Everybody wants to play this game. So I've kind of been saving myself. I want my first experience to be with Roots, to be with my friends. So I haven't gone in there yet, but I got to imagine it's coming very soon, maybe even tonight.
That's lovely, Wes, actually. If you do that with your friends, it'll be unforgettable. It really will. Like I've done a couple of videos. There's this guy called Sergev8. He's turned into a miniature star on the channel, actually, because he's a very unique individual. I think we could explain him as a very unique individual. And it was a phenomenal experience. It really was. It was over those 3 hours. I went from like not knowing what I was doing to by the end of it going, right, I've got the game now. I kind of understand. But yeah, Roots is right. There is another little bit of a layer to it as well. There's that extra bit of expertness laying in there. And yeah, the game is phenomenal. And it's like $13. It's crazy. Like
Yeah, cheap.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's pricey, but I mean, I think it might have even gone up since if it's that price because I know it's been so popular, and you're having big streamers stream it, and that's the big deal on Twitch, and it's just blowing up.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people don't like Sergev8, and yeah, to be fair, like I've done some edited videos. Yeah, that guy is absolutely crazy, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, he makes me laugh so much. He really does want to play it. So, Phasmophobia makes Steam's top 20. Which is pretty cool. Another thing, guys, if you're going to stream it, there's a social output on that game. Did you know that at all? I didn't know that the first time. Yeah,
I did not.
Yeah, so if you go in the options, basically it gives you a lot wider field of view, and it's also got the smooth camera, so it's not so jumpy and stuff.
I wondered what was going on when I was streaming it because it was like I was on a Quest or something. I mean, was I on the Quest? I don't know. I might have been on my Rift S, but all I know is that when I looked at my OBS, it wasn't the full screen, and it, of course, bothered me. I couldn't figure out, but at some point, you just say, "Okay, well, this is what it is," and I'm just going. So
yeah. So sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go. You're the guest.
No. I was just going to say, this is what I love. This is obviously a developer that gets it right. That they know how to have a popular VR game, right? Something that they can sell, something they make money on. They let you bring your friends, right? They price the game accordingly. They make it affordable for everyone, and then they integrate tools on day one to allow you to share your experience through social media. Yeah. I mean, it's a perfect recipe, and it's it obviously has a lot to do with why they are in the top 20, like you just said. On Steam.
Yeah, I couldn't believe the price of it. I'd heard it. I could have probably been playing it a week earlier, but I'd heard about it and I thought I really got the money to buy a game. I thought if it's that big, it's going to be expensive. And I was like, it was £10. I was like, oh bloody hell! I was expecting it to be like £30, or something. But yeah, another thing. So yesterday, PewDiePie played Population 1. He live streamed Population 1. Jacksepticeye done Phasmophobia on the Oculus Rift. So, well, PewDiePie's thumbnail was him in a Quest 2, but he played it on the Rift S. I'm not so sure. Either way, that's great. That is so good. Like, because, people are going to see that and just be like, because the important thing is they're on screen and you can see them using the headsets. That's what's important.
Well, it's going to make people feel like exactly like some people feel like with that VR cover or whatever. They're going to feel left out, But in this instance, they have an in. They've $300. You're right in. You get to be included with everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything's falling into place in like the perfect way that even with Facebook doing its weird terms of service, it's just blowing up. And now we got these big streamers, Population 1. I mean, it's Fortnite in VR and everybody's seeing it now. And now that I guarantee that's driving sales because who doesn't want to be in their favorite video game, right?
Exactly. And that's where, like, when you think about Fortnite, that is one map. That is just one big map. And I'm not saying Population 1, funny enough, still could actually fit some more players in it to cover that map. I still think sometimes if the planets align wrongly, I guess, you can not come across anyone for a good 5-10 minutes almost sometimes, and then other times like everyone's in the same place as everyone's learning different areas of the map that are good. But I'd love to see. I really hope it doesn't just sit and go stale. I
don't think it will.
I hope
think they're going. I think they're going to add different modes. Like I was saying this yesterday on the podcast. Everybody. I've heard people like main fans say they want to do one person. They want to do one like 16 or 18 people. One versus one. You want to do your duos. Maybe you want to have 4 people. But they can't break the player base up. They need as many people in there. You know what I mean? And by capping it at 18, they're always going to. I'm sure they've done the math. They're trying to keep the lobbies always full. And that's one of the best things about it right now is you get in there and it's in quick. You're going quick.
Yeah.
And so the more of that they mess with, I think would upset that algorithm, or whatever you want to call it. And at some point, as it gets bigger and more people get in, I think we will start seeing more branches, different modes, maybe duos or single, or even if you could do that. Why can't I go if I'm really good? There's a guy that slaughtered our team. He's the number 1 guy, something bunny or something. He killed all 3 of us. And I mean, I've never seen somebody play the way he played. It was a joke. Why can't he join as one person versus a whole bunch of other teams? If he feels like, hey, I'm good enough to, why does he need to be tethered to 2 people? I think that should be an option as well.
Yeah. I personally, the biggest thing for me is the lag. I hope they get like sort of servers out, because I'm getting like 133 milliseconds ping, which is huge in an online game, like massive. I could be standing there just shooting the hell out of someone and nothing's happening.
That's the thing too, is I theorized that they don't have any EU servers yet because they're trying to keep everybody on the same servers to keep them full. But it's at the detriment for you guys. You guys, I've read people saying, dude, like the enemies are teleporting around, like literally teleporting. How do you shoot something that just suddenly is 6 feet away from you? I think that would end the game for me. So they do need to address that. They need to split it, or I don't know what they're going to do, but you guys need to have low pings too.
Yeah, it's up so my ping's normally 6 milliseconds on my network. But yeah, Virtual's just put, yeah, right, it was like the lag. Fun enough, when I played with Mike on the very first launch stream, the lag was minimal. I don't know why. On launch day, there just wasn't that much. Very rarely did it happen. There was a couple of occasions. But when I jumped in the second time, I experienced it a lot more. And then when I played privately the other day with Viper one night, it was every game. Almost every game was really bad for the both of us. The memories of just pointing at someone, and I'm thinking, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's just standing still. He hasn't stood still at all. He's run around behind me and probably already killed me, and I'm just stuck in time. Like
that makes sense, actually. Now that you say that, because I've ran into so many times where somebody's just standing there, and I'll kill him, and I'm thinking, what is he doing? And it was probably Gamertag locked up.
some poor guy in the UK. He's like, oh no, roots again. Roots again. It's killed me.
Yeah.
So going on for a little bit more news. Job Simulator, Vacation Simulator get enhanced modes for the Quest. Now, normally these enhanced modes are like a visual upgrade. You get rid of foveated rendering and hopefully 90 hertz when it becomes readily available for everyone. Have you guys noticed any changes in enhanced games on the Oculus Quest 2? Have you experienced that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I'm sorry, Roots. I felt that there was a pretty big visual difference in Apex Construct, because before the foveated rendering was rather aggressive, and the Quest 1, the foveated, it's the only platform I've ever played on that the foveated rendering doesn't take a circular shape so that it kind of blends naturally in your peripheral vision. Instead, it takes this square rectangular shape, and now it's gone. It's completely gone from the Quest 2 version, and it's immediately noticeable.
Yeah, Saints and Sinners as well. It seemed like that some of the graphical things seemed to be improved as well. Of course, I didn't play it on the original Quest, but just from it just looked really good. So
yeah, I checked out Arizona. For me, Arizona so far is the biggest change. I don't know if I upset Andreas Juliuson at Fast Travel, because I played Apex Construct on... The only thing I haven't played it on actually is PC. I've played it on PlayStation VR back in the day, on the Quest, and on the Quest 2. And I didn't notice the difference of the enhanced mode that you two are speaking of. That's the only reason I'm mentioning it. I didn't notice it. And I messaged him to check that my version was the enhanced version. He said it was. And I was like, oh, I'm just not noticing it. I don't know why I didn't notice it, but I didn't notice it. As like when I played Arizona, it stood out a lot. And from the screenshots we've seen of In Death, I think that's going to be quite impressive. Because I thought that game already looked good on the Quest anyway. And on the Quest 2, it's going to probably do really well. We've hit 100 likes.
Bright.
Thank you.
Thank you. Speaking of In Death Unchained, I just played that for the first time yesterday because the Super Bright was awesome to send a key.
I told you about it, didn't I, on your show?
I completely, I don't fuck the shard. I don't care about the shard. The bow is a perfect way to teleport.
Yeah.
You know what was cool about? I felt like it was a more fledged game. I felt like the in-depth PC version seemed like it was a archery simulator, cool game. But like when I went into this other one, I get to the end of the thing and I'm start making my way down into this dungeon looking thing, and there's a portal to go through, and I feel like I'm like progressing differently than In Death. In Death just seems like, okay, how far can you go? How many can you kill?
Yeah.
I feel like in this game, it's more of an actual game destination. And it was just really cool. And I haven't even seen any new enemies yet. I was very impressed. And like Wes said, he really piqued my interest when somebody in our chat had said, hey, what's the difference between this and any other game that's got a port over?
Right.
And he was saying, no, this is like completely redone by a different company. Super Bright, just, you know what I mean? It's a different game, very similar, but it's different, and I can see it.
Yeah, for sure. Like on PSVR, I remember thinking the crossbow was the way to go forward. The amount of people I saw fighting on scoreboards on that game were all crossbow users, pretty much. But there's something really cool about using a normal archery skill. There's something very cool about archery skill in virtual reality. And that's just my way to play. I love it. And yeah, I do like In Death, and I can't wait to check out the enhanced version of that game because I really enjoy. I'm just looking forward to playing it again. That's what I'm trying to say. Just look forward to jumping back in.
Yeah, me too. Because when it came out originally on Quest, I was hooked on that game for probably a solid month. I absolutely loved it. And
Wow.
I didn't like I liked the original In Death, but I only played it a couple times and then I didn't go back to it. Whereas the Quest version, I haven't been able to put it down. So absolutely agree with you. Super Bright did a great job on it. And again, another kudos to Oculus here for making sure that the controller occlusion isn't an issue, because generally you would think an archery game would be problematic for an inside-out tracking system, but it's butter smooth and flawless in the case of In Death Unchained.
That's why I get worried about all these different headsets. I get a little bit like, I think after trying the Cosmos was the time that I realised that, I don't know, I do think that Oculus have really smashed it a little bit at the moment on certain aspects, one of them being that. And the controllers for me, the touch controllers are the dual shock of VR. And I say that in respect of, if you're an Xbox player, it's the Xbox controller of VR. It's kind of like, that is my favorite go-to controller. It just works so damn good.
It just feels good. Like
and the new
when you hold it, it just feels good.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. What are your battery percentages?
I'm at like 70%, and I've been streaming Population 1 on average about 7 hours a day for the last week. So like, it's ridiculous. I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, my batteries are low. And my first instinct was I was a little irritated because everybody's talking about how great these batteries are, the battery life. And then I started doing the math in my head and I thought, holy shit, how are they still running?
Yeah, they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. They're the most energy efficient product on the planet. I think mine's still on. I said the other week on the podcast, they're still on like 70% now. They actually went up. I was using them. They actually gained. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
So do you think it's legit, or do you think that they're kind of pulling the wool over on everybody, either by giving us numbers that are not accurate, or by giving us these super awesome throwaway batteries that come with it.
I
Well, we'll
don't.
see. We'll know soon. I mean, I'm assuming somebody's had to have switched them out by now, right? Yours are still at
Well, if we can
100%.
make
It's like
that
a,
out, but they're still at 100%. Yeah.
I can't
yeah,
see that, but yeah,
yeah, it's blurring.
100%.
But yeah, that's crazy, and it doesn't surprise me because that was one of the biggest things that people complained about with the Quest One, right? So I think Oculus as a company, like you said, they nailed the ASW, they nailed the tracking, the wireless. They listened to complaints. The controller actually, even though Radio Runt doesn't like them for Audica, the wider controller, the old school CV1 feel to me is much better. I have somewhere to put my thumbs now. Feels better. They're more solid. The thing isn't flying off. The control, the whatever's on the holding the batteries in the battery cover.
Oh yeah,
So I think they
everything,
really listened.
everything is improved. Everything is improved. And I had a message, a comment the other day, and someone said, the cheapest way for me to get into VR, I don't know whether to buy a Quest 1 or a Quest 2. And I was like, it's a no-brainer answer for me. The Quest 2 is better and cheaper. It's like, I don't know how to give you that kind of answer. And my battery life is 40% on both of those controllers. Bear in mind, I had the headset like a week before launch or something as well. So yeah,
Well, that's good.
it's crazy because on my Rift and my Rift S especially, the bloody controllers never used to switch off. I'd leave it hanging unless the PC was off or whatever. The controllers would be on. It's so annoying.
Yeah,
I had to
that
change
is
batteries every
annoying.
day.
Yeah, especially when you're like me and I don't use reusable, so I just want to swap them out and throw them away. It gets
Yeah.
expensive after a while.
Yeah, that's why I spent like 20 odd pounds and just got 6 Energizer batteries. They're just sitting there on charge all the time. I can't stand buying batteries anymore. It just winds me up too much. Yeah, so the Star Wars Squadron update, I think that might have included the Mandalorian update, so you can get Baby Yoda. I don't know if anyone can say that in chat. I know that's supposed to be an update that's happened. I'd love to check that out. Has anyone checked that out at all?
I have not, at all.
Yeah, nice.
And you know, it seems cool. Obviously, as a Star Wars fan, you like these stuff like this. But generally, these cosmetic only updates, they don't really excite me all that much. I'll check it out, you know, when I get back into the game to play it. Obviously, I'll take a look at it, you know, with the new, through the new eyes of the new headset. It's going to be amazing, but you know, it's not the biggest thing for me. I like to see new playable content or new game modes or new settings. That's the type of thing I get excited for.
Yeah. For
Dark
sure.
Angel just said, speaking of Audica, something seems very off on the Quest 2. It's almost like he has to recalibrate the controllers or something. All his shots are way off. I did notice when I played it originally, the first time I played it was at 72 hertz. Then I did the whole thing to switch it to 90. That Gamertag was saying you have to reset every time. And it was night and day difference. And I think that's the difference. I think if you're used to playing it at 90 or even 80, 72 feels weird.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to the 90 hertz update because I'm like you, Gamertag. I don't want to redo that every single time I load up.
No, that's right. Alex Sam, thank you ever so much for the donation. He has wrote, what games are y'all looking forward to this year? I'm just going to lead out and say Medal of Honor. I think at the moment,
sure.
that's my... When I think about it, which I try not to because I get asked it so many times, I've sort of given up giving answers because there's so many good games on the horizon. There's Sniper Elite as well. But I think Medal of Honor at the moment is the one that I'm looking forward to the most. What about you guys?
Well, for me, assuming that there is indeed going to be the rumored VR support, it's got to be Resident Evil 8. That along with Wraith, the Oblivion Afterlife. Me being a horror game buff, those are the two that are really really sticking out to me. And after the fall, I think that it kind of fell off the map a little bit, but I'm really looking forward to see what Vertigo Games is going to follow up Arizona Sunshine with.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good for sure. After the fall as well, Medal of Honor, and then I don't know, man. I feel like there's a lot of what was that game West with the Jesus radar? I can never remember the game name.
It's called Beast Shall Rise.
Yeah, I want Beast Shall Rise. Where the hell did that thing disappear to? We were talking about it before Halloween last year. And
Yeah, I tried to contact the developer a few days ago. I don't think that he ever replied back to me, but his game was supposed to launch on Halloween last year. And I touched base with him around late winter, early spring, and he said it was still alive and that he was still working on it. But this last time I've tried to contact him, and I'll just verify it real quick here, but I don't think that he's even responded to me.
Yeah,
yeah,
Vertigo 2 is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It's one of those games that I guess because it's not like a AAA developed game or something, you kind of forget about it, and it's criminal to forget about it because I played. Oh, sorry, Vertigo Remastered. Sorry, not Vertigo 2. Vertigo Remastered. I played, and it was superb. Like absolutely superb. I couldn't believe how good that game was. And yeah, I forget
Have you
about it.
tried?
I forget about it so often. It's a shame. I shouldn't.
Have you tried the new the sandbox update for the Vertigo remastered?
No.
I haven't either. I was just curious about it.
Kango
I'm
says
kinda curious.
Vertigo 1 is one of his all-time favorite games. It was brilliant. It was very. And I think the guy, I can't remember his name now. I do apologise, but I can't remember his name. But he's
He's a
done work
prodigy,
for
right?
Valve, hasn't he? He's done work for Valve, and you can feel some of that in there.
Zach Brown.
Yeah,
Zach Salakis Brown.
yeah, you get in that from that game. Midlife says Jurassic Park, absolutely. Once again, more games. Boy Brown, no, someone put the Warhammer game. I've got access to that. It's a demo. I've played it. It's called Battle Sisters. I recorded the footage. I edited the video. I watched it back, and I thought if I make a video on this, dude, I'm just going to damage the game because it's so early on footage. And then I checked some other channels out that had put the video out, and yeah, dude, like people are commenting, going, "This game was crap. This game," and those first impressions are so important for some people, you know. So yeah.
But see,
And it's an ambitious game too. I mean, graphically, there's a lot going on with that one.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the decision you have to make as a content creator, because that's kind of how we approach it as well. It's like if we think a game has potential or it's so early on, we even told devs that we're just not going to cover it right now, because if we do, it's not going to be the best coverage.
Yeah.
As far as, because we know you're still working on it, and we'd rather do that when you're ready, because you don't want to trash a game before it's even got its footing, and you know, you never know what it's going to turn out to be when it's all said and done. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised we could have made a video on it, or I could have made a video on it, because I played it, and don't get me wrong, in some play it actually looks good, but there's loads of frame drops. You can tell that it's not optimized yet in places, not at all. But yeah, it's definitely got loads of promise, and but I just didn't want to be that person, because I'd have made that video, and when I spent like 5-6 hours on it, and I watched it back, and I'm like, I'm just actually cutting bits out of this to make it look better than it is, and I don't ever want to do that. That's not who I am at all. If the game's not good, it's not good, and it's not to say it just wasn't ready. It wasn't out of the oven yet. It wasn't baked enough, so I just put it back in the oven. I was like, no, we won't be doing that at the moment.
Do you think that we're about to experience another phenomenon like we had with the onset of the PlayStation 4 Pro, where the original Quest is maybe holding back some of the titles on the Oculus Quest 2? Because at least as for now, there is no such thing as a Quest 2 exclusive. So anything that comes out on Quest 2 has to come out on Quest 1. And I got to think a game like Warhammer might struggle and might have to push their date back a little bit, at least until Facebook, you know, loosens the reins and lets Quest 2 have its own games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much extra graphical power you gain from foveated rendering. As you said, I've seen it a couple of times where it's quite noticeable, and sometimes it's not as noticeable. The difference between 90 hertz, 72 hertz. So I don't know the impact of development. I don't know whether you can just put on foveated rendering and put on 72 hertz and go, yeah, we just saved 20%. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I kind of feel like that. Yeah, I read an article. I don't remember. It might have been on the Upload. It might have been on Road to VR, but it was a breakdown of the difference in power with the Oculus Quest. And surprisingly, the difference wasn't as pronounced when it comes to the CPU power. But when you talk about the GPU power, I mean, it was something like tenfold increased on the Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah.
So I got to imagine as long as that requirement's in there, that games have to run on Quest 1, we're either going to get some really bad Quest 1 versions, or we're going to have games be delayed and kind of held back. Again, like we saw with PlayStation 4 and PS4 Pro.
Alakazam, thank you ever so much for the donation again. Thank you, Phasmophobia. What you all think about it? We have actually, I don't know whether you disappeared earlier, but we did actually talk about it quite a lot. We spoke about all our experiences of the game, and Wes hopefully is tonight going to be checking that out. So yeah, are you going to be streaming that, Wes? Do you think? Or
I've never ever streamed live gameplay on either of my channels.
Yeah,
so probably not.
Do you know what, dude? It's an absolute pain in the ass. Once you start, I won't bother.
Right.
It really is. It's like, oh my god.
I do gameplays. I do edited,
yeah,
gameplays.
I'm too lazy to edit stuff. I just want to. That's why I went to streaming, is because I just go and I legitimately, my favorite part is the people, talking to people and hanging out with them, and I can't do that on a video. And then I don't have the patience to record this big long thing and then edit it down and everything else. And I feel like that's why there's people like Wes and there's people like me, and everybody's a little bit different, and you add a little bit more to the table, because Wes has got one of the best channels that I know as far as gameplay wise, and he's so diligent about finishing. He'll do a whole series of the entire game, where most people don't do that anymore.
No, I've done it, but yeah, like Walking Dead, for example, Saints and Sinners on the Quest, even though I've played it twice over, is literally in bits because games are happening in between, and the community is like, play Pop 1, and it's like, yeah, I do actually want to play Pop 1. So,
Right.
but yeah, listen, guys, unfortunately, we're running out of time. I've got to make a move because I've got to work and go back to reality, crappy reality. But Wes, Roots, thank you ever so much for coming on the show today. It's been absolutely phenomenal. The conversation has been wicked.
Yeah, no,
yeah, man. Thanks for having us on. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Roots.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, same thing. Thanks for having us on. I love to talk about VR. I like to hang out with cool people, and to get to know your community better. So,
thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's I could sit here and do this all night. I mean, to have a couple guys like yourselves that are knowledgeable and have the same interest and love that I do for VR, it's been an absolute blast. And again, thank you so much for having us on. It's been great.
I really enjoyed it. At certain points, you two were talking, I felt like I was on your show.
Well, we kind of turned it in. This has been kind of like one of our shows where we just kind of shoot off on different tangents instead of following, the written script. I always come in with a lineup, much the same way you do, of different news stories.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always go that way, does it?
I feel like our show is more of it's kind of like me and Wes are hanging out, just shooting the shit. And people are hanging out watching it. It's like a real conversation where real conversations sprout out in different directions. That's where the best content comes from, is just organic conversation. And I think that's one of the things that I'm the most proud about our podcast, is I feel like we cover things in a way that I don't believe anybody else does. So
yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I try and do that. I just try and have a natural show. That's the thing. Try and make it natural. You know what I mean? Just, if it is what it is, go with the conversation. I think they're the best podcast, personally. Like, I'd rather listen to the person more than what the person's going to talk about, if you know what I'm saying, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But
absolutely.
Looks like you're getting a lot of love in the chat. Thank you ever so much for dropping in, guys. Really appreciate it. Remember to subscribe to Virtual Strangers. Podcast, like 3 or 4 podcasts every week. They've got a great community, great chat as well. Midlife, thank you ever so much for the donation. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Look after yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.
Easy.
Bye. Bye. Bye.